Hello, everybody. Although I cannot see you exactly because you are all wearing face masks, as am I. It is a pleasure to receive you here in Portugal for our final meeting. So we took advantage of Ana Pires from Inesctec and their team that offered to help in the organization of this final meeting, since going back to Lisbon, where the first one occurred, which was our starting point. As you already know Lisbon very well, we thought it would be nicer for you to get to know a different city in Portugal. And so Ana Pires offered to host us, which was very nice. At the beginning, we even thought that going maybe to a different country would be an answer. But as we have these restraints in the Blue Book to make changes because different budgets would be necessary to be allocated to the different partners if we change the venue too much. And so, from Lisbon to Porto, it is just around the corner. Myself, I said it is just around the corner, and that is why I missed the icebreaker, because just around the corner, it's not really just around the corner, and so it took a little bit longer to get here. Anyway, so welcome again. I hope we will have a nice and enjoyable stay here in Porto. We will start according to our plan, to our schedule. I am the first one to be presenting the outcomes of FCT Nova, but also regarding the project. So I will move on, since we don't have time to lose. I will show you. So the question, as you know, being this the final year of our project. Sorry. Being the final year of our project, we have the different deliverables and outcomes to be prepared. I had an evaluation meeting with EIT last week, so it is called the final evaluation meeting with EIT, where the people from EIT met with me for me to answer before then what we have done during the 3 years of the project, and to make them certain and sure that we would be able to deliver all that we promised. So it is an evaluation that they make before the project ends to see if we are in a good position to receive the final payments of the budget that we have in the project Blue Book. So, I will start showing the activities of FCT Nova just to speed things up, because the second part of my presentation is the one that I want you to focus on and to remember when you go afterwards when you go home. So, as you know, we all had to produce booklets and videos, so one of each for each partner. At the moment, we already have our deliverables complete. So we have the booklet that is already available in the website. I'm not sure if you interact a lot with the website, but the website is our repository for all information about the MineHeritage project. So you should disseminate, make available to the people you know the links, or at least the web page, where you can go and download or view the booklets and the videos, because we have a link to the YouTube channel of the project where you can go and see the videos. So for us, the booklet is already available. The newsletter, Angela, are you here, Angela? Yes, hello. Angela already asked for information about news and contributions for the newsletter she's preparing. And the video is already is ready also, but we found a mistake in one of the readings, and so we had to withdraw the video from YouTube to correct the reading in one of the frames of the video. So, in fact, from each of you and every one of you, this is what we are expecting and what EIT is expecting. So they are expecting a global approach to our deliverables, and we are under that value, okay? So, the other thing that we must contribute with is FCT Nova is the game and app. So the game is already completed and it is available for some months until now. So the website with the game for all the mines is available. As you know, we had a difficulty because not all partners sent the questions for the game. So we had to improvise a bit. So some partners sent all the questions for the game, others didn't. So for those who did not send the questions for their mines, we had to attribute the general questions and not the particular questions of the mine. So the game is in fact complete, but we had to adjust to that fact. And what is also ready is the app for Android. So it is available, at the moment it is available only if you go to the Blue Book and to our project. There is a link, there is a Word file there with a link where you can download the application for your Android phones at the moment only. So the iOS application will be ready by the end of the year, but it can only be available from the App Store. And so, as it has to go to the App Store, it has to be in its complete format. And so we are still experimenting with that, but the one for Android is already available. And so the next point is the dissemination, to which all of you should have contributed, and I hope you did, of course, which is the dissemination events. So we had two major dissemination events. I assume that you also have some participation in this area. So we had our Expo FCT, an open day at the faculty with 1,500 participants, and the European Researchers' Night, which is common amongst you, where we had 2,000 participants. And then we have these smaller scale events with some participants also. So this is the general activities that FCT Nova was involved with, and that I would like to see also in your presentations, that you can contribute with some numbers to this. So now regarding the evaluation meeting with the IT, and for you to be aware of the status of the project. So until now, we have the key results to date. We have the website and the app already delivered. So these are what they call the outstanding results from the project. We have the database complete with more than 700 historical mining sites, so which also is a big success. You all contributed to this with your mining sites across Europe. We have the 3D models of 2 mining sites from Inestec, so the innovation part of the project. And then we have 38 booklets and 21 videos. So this is where we are a little bit short, okay? So I expect that by the end of the year, it is when the project finishes, that you have these contributions also ready to complete the table that I will show you in just a few moments. So this is what EIT was interested in, okay? So the project is well evaluated, so they say it is an outstanding project, everything is going very well, they have no questions, so they like what they see, but for that, we must complete what we promised, of course. One interesting fact is the interactions in social networks that have increased a lot in the past year. As you see, from the beginning of the project, we had some interactions, of course, during the first year, not that many interactions because the website was created only on month 3 or something like that, and we didn't have much information to put on the website because we had no booklets, we had just what it was, just a web page to say that we existed. But since we started putting booklets and videos in the website, what happened is that the number of interactions rose amazingly. As you see, almost 32,000 interactions with our social networks, which is a success, in fact. So for this success, we need to have our tools for dissemination complete, which up till now it is not, but I hope that it will be. So I know from CNR, so we don't have the booklet and the video, but I already got the information that it is not a problem, and that we can, okay, and that we can, in fact, after today, have 2 more greens in the table. And what you see here is that when you have something done, you have a V, okay? For some, where they have contributed more, they have the adequate number of deliverables in that area. So, for instance, Angela and their team, of course. When I say Angela, it's because Angela. So Klaus Stahl produced 3 videos this year. And for instance, Madrid produced 3 booklets this year, okay? So it is just to mark the amount of deliverables in each of the series. So the partners, so these reds have to be turned into green, okay? And I hope that after today, we will have that info, even if they are not exactly ready today or tomorrow, but they are in a state such that they will be complete by the end of the year. And on a brighter tone, for you just to see that the interactions, we have some champions. So this is the top 3 in the dissemination events that we have. So in booklets, we have from Croatia the highest scene. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. So Tragovska Gora, it's the one, it's the booklet that was with the highest impact. So it is a result, I know, because they also disseminate it in schools and in events where they go. They disseminate the link. And so the number of views and hits increases a lot. And in the videos, CNR, in Porto Flavia, they have 15,000 views, which is amazing, okay? It is, in fact, very, very, very nice, I think. And so, of course, this increases a lot the number of interactions in social networks, and it makes EIT and MineHeritage visible in the social networks. And so it is very good that this happens. So from now on, since we have a higher amount of tools for dissemination in our website, we hope to increase even more this situation. So the main objective of the MineHeritage project, so we had 2 major deliverables, which were the app for mobile devices and the game to be played by all in the activities. So they were planned for the end of the project. So it is supposed to be now that we increase our interaction with the public because we have the dissemination tools ready for use, okay? And so when we speak about MineHeritage from now on, we are showing the dissemination tools that all of us were able to produce regarding the booklets and regarding the videos and the game and app. So in fact, the dissemination doesn't stop with the end of the project. We might almost say that the highest intensity dissemination starts now that we have all tools available for that reason, okay? So this was just what I intended to show and to tell you what was my interaction with the IT in the evaluation procedure. So they were happy. They were happy with the status of the project, of course, but they want more. They want the table that I showed you before to be all green. And if we have partners that produce even more, so much the better, because it increases the value of the products that were, of the money invested in the project. That's what they always think about, because we don't give a turnover, you see, we don't produce money for them. So their evaluation is not exactly the same as for other projects with products that they can sell or that they can promote, because ours is entirely free. So all things are absolutely free for everybody. So what they want is this demonstration of the impact of the project. In 2 months, we will have to do, so after the end of the project, in 2 months, in February, we will have to do the legacy report. So the legacy report is the final report. It is not our final report, okay? That is to be completed by the end of December, so it is almost ready. We are just missing the information from dissemination activities and your activities that has to be delivered until the end of the month. So we have to have the information from you. That is why we are having this meeting by the end of the project, so we can have your information in this type of activities, okay? And hence, the template that was sent to you, so you could fill and say what activities you were involved in. Okay, so they are happy, we are happy, but they want to be even more happy, so we just have to act accordingly. The legacy report will be, as I said, 2 months after, where we have to highlight our accomplishments in the project and say how we are going to continue developing the MineHeritage concept. So it is not just after 2 months. I will have for the next 5 years an evaluation again with the MineHeritage for the next 5 years. It's 5, not 4, it's 5, yes? For the next 5 years, so yearly, I will have a meeting with the IT to show what has been accomplished. So what we need is to show that the website and the apps are running. It is very easy to show that the concept of MineHeritage is being used, because as all our interaction with the concept is through the website, it records the hits and the downloads and the views of the videos. And so we just have to show that our deliverables are being used, okay? And so you continue in your activities saying that you have MineHeritage, so it is a product that you have, MineHeritage, and you show your product, okay? It doesn't have to be specifically, I am just going to show MineHeritage. No. In your activities where you are with schools, in other meetings, you just call out the attention to the project where people can interact. If we have interaction with the website through the videos, booklets, whatever, it shows because the site records all activity, and so we can put it in the legacy reports that are coming ahead. Okay? Perfect. So this finishes my participation specifically. I'm not sure. Yes, Anna, if you want So Anna, you all know Anna from emails, because I think you were never present in the first meeting, so it was another colleague of mine. So Anna, if you remember, in the first meetings we had Fernanda, she's working with me, but not in this project anymore. And so Anna was replaced, if you can say that, by Anna. And so Anna is helping me with MineHeritage, and she's also following a PhD, of course. And so for you to get her to know a little bit more, she will do now the presentations of the partners.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really nice to see you in person. We will proceed with the presentation from CNR with Sara Loretti.
Okay, so good morning, and I'm Sara Loretti from CNR, from the Italian partner. So Davide Peddis, that is the coordinator of this partner, is not here because he's involved in the kickoff meeting of another project. So he apologized for not being here. We had this perfect superposition, but so I hope to give you this the overview of our activities in 2021. Perfect, sorry. So just to give the overview, the partner, the Italian partner, is made of two institutes of the National Research Council. It's not like this, sorry. I hope to be able to go on. Okay, so two institutes from the National Research Council, and we have two internal partners that are the Science School Cultural Association and the Associazione Mineraria Sarda, that is the Sardinian Mines Association, that helped us in organizing the events, in getting all the information for preparation of the booklets. So our activities were strongly supported by these two local associations. So I will show in the following. So every time I push something, it runs. So this is an overview, a brief overview of what we did this year. Of course, we organized a sort of a follow-up of the materials, the activities that we did the year before, and in particular for the dissemination of the brochure, of the videos, and all the materials that have been published. And we produced the booklet and the videos. And we organized also some events for the general public. So I push just once. Okay, so just to remind which were the activities what we did in the last year. So we prepared two booklets about Laveria La Marmora and Pozzo Baccarini, so two Sardinian mining sites. And we prepared these interactive 3D videos. One is the Porto Flavia, the winner of the visualization, thanks to the collaboration with this private company. So we provided the information, the pictures, the opportunity to enter, and then by combining the real photos and pictures with this 3D reconstruction, we could create these nice videos. And so what we did is that we presented these materials in the framework of some events that have been organized by the Associazione Mineraria Sarda. So we couldn't present these materials in a live, in present events, but we organized some seminars. And so the title of the seminars are exactly Progetto MineHeritage. We put in the title the name of the project, a European platform of knowledge and understanding. So we took the occasion of some special days in Italy about mining, and we presented the project and the materials that we produced. The last one, it will be on December. And so this is the picture, a screenshot screenshot of Davide explaining the project in the framework of this event. So every time there is an explanation of the objective of the project and then about the material. And of course, every time that we do this kind of event, we record the events in order to let the events available on the Facebook web page, in this case of the Associazione Mineraria Sarda, and also to check the number of visualization that we have, during the life of this page. So now we are producing the new booklet. So we have chosen this Villaggio Minerario Asproni, that is another mining site. It was recently restored by some privates that gave light to this old mining site. Actually, it is a real village. And we have almost completed the new booklet. The village is titled to the engineer Asproni, that is the founder of the mining site and of this village that is very close to the mine. And so now visitors can already go and have a trip along the perimeter of this village, and it can really touch, the history, the culture, the architectures of the mining activities. And so the booklet is almost ready, so don't worry, Joao. And we are also preparing the new video. This video will be made in collaboration with the same company, so we hope it will have the same success of Porto Flavia. Now the video will be in another place. It is called Sos Inatos. So it is a mining place that is located in the northeast of Sardinia. So up to now, the minings where we produced the booklets and the videos were in the southwest part of the Sardinia. We moved to the other side, to this Sos Inatos mines, and I tried to show that the video is almost finished. We are completing with the information. If you want, I press the button and try to, if it works. I don't know. Okay, so the idea is this is a 3D interactive video, because you see there are some information points where you can click and get some information. So the music stopped because it is not completed yet. But the idea is to really provide a virtual tour, to provide the possibility to enter inside the tunnels and see and get information about the activities. And so it is something that is going to be completed by the end of the year. So then, yes, we have organized an exhibition. Oh, it's running by itself again, sorry. We have organized a nice exhibition that I'm going to present, because it comes from a strong collaboration that we have with some colleagues from the CNR. And due to the fact that the CNR has an Arctic station at the Svalbard Islands. That is, I mean, in Nyalesund, it's an old mining village. We really created a bridge between Iglesias, the Sardinian town close to these mining sites, and Nyalesund. We had the opportunity to use the pictures, the photos of a photographer that followed the researchers at the Arctic station, in particular the picture of the all the mining activities, and we really we was able to create this bridge that we presented with this exhibition that I show you. So we called this exhibition 4,400 kilometers, soil and subsoil. That is the distance that connects Iglesias to the Svalbard Islands. And the idea was to organize this exhibition last year, but due to the pandemic situation, we couldn't really set the exhibition. So we presented, we gave an overview of this, exhibition at the European Research Night of the last edition. And I just give you the presentation because it allows you to see the picture that we used. I give the translation. So 4,400 kilometers between the mining city Iglesias and the Svalbard Islands. Mines. Memory and culture. Climb. This is the picture of the Arctic station. Research is a trip. Exploration. Sights and imagination. So this was presented at the end of the 2020, but then this August we could really set the exhibition by using the rooms of the Museum of the Mining Art in Iglesias, and the idea was to put together to compare the pictures from the Arctic mining sites and the pictures that are there at the museum. We collected the signature of the people that attended the exhibition that stands from August. We closed this exhibition at the end of the Researchers' Night. I will show you the events that we organized. And it was really, I think, a success because Iglesias is a very small town, and with this COVID restriction, it is not easy to organize an exhibition to leave people entering, attending. So you can imagine. And it was a very nice opportunity. So, of course, we took advantage of the European Researchers' Night to spread, to disseminate the project results. So we have some colleagues from the same institutes that participate to the European Research Night in Potenza, so in another city, not Rome, not Sardinia, but we wanted to give materials, booklets and videos, and we prepared a slide. So I don't have the numbers of participants because it was a mixed event, some part online, something in presence, so it's not easy to get all the numbers, but we will do it in any case. We gave these materials for participating to the Super Science Me research project. And we organized an event in presence in Iglesias for the same night in the framework of the Sharper event, that is the project, the Sardinian project for the European Researchers' Night. The event was in presence, and we organized a laboratory for children, so they could visit the exhibition that I showed, and we made some activities, drawings, using the images of the mines, the mines activities. And then we organized a sort of workshop for general public, where we discussed about these pictures, and it was really a nice event, because we created an interdisciplinary roundtable between people with different expertise. So the discussion was managed by Cristina Marras from CNR, that is a very nice philosopher, a very good philosopher, working with metaphors, with the languages, and so she was able to create this connection and this discussion with Vittorio Tulli, that is the photographer of the Arctic pictures, Dario Coletti, that is another photographer of the Sardinian mining sites, and we had the opportunity to host Paola Azzeni, that is a retired anthropologist that was a key person in Sardinia to give light to the mining activity and their impact on society in this place. And of course, me and Davide, we are chemists working on material science. So it was a nice discussion. We discussed about the sense of some words that are common, about the sense of darkness, silence. We played with the words, the key words of these different activities. So here there are some pictures. So we really put together the pictures from Arctic site and from Sardinian mining sites. And just to conclude, this kind of discussion was brought also at the Festival della Scienza in Genoa. As you know, there is a very big science festival. It is the biggest in Italy. And Davide and Cristina Marras presented a discussion in the framework of this science festival. And the last event, it is the one that is coming soon, this week, by Paolo, that is participating to the Iglesias Festival Science. School is the association that is in charge of organizing this festival, and Paolo is going to present some workshop for students, high school students and general public about raw materials, and of course he will present also some part of the MineHeritage activities. So this is what we successfully, let's say, organized during this year. And of course, we are open, we are available of, disseminating in the next 5 years, but also on, we can we are open to new projects, new collaborations on this topic. So, we can take advantage of this strong contact that we have with the local institution in Sardinia, for example, for further activities. So, I've finished.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. So now we move to our next presenters. I don't know if, is it you, Peter? Okay. It could, I didn't know if Peter was going to join you. From the Geological Survey of Finland now.
Well, welcome everybody. And so, yes, Peter, who's in the front row there, if you'd just like to wave, Peter, to everybody there. Peter, my co-author, is here with me. So we're representing the most northern part of this project, and we're very proud to be here, and thank you very much again for allowing us to participate. And one of the things, of course, we're still trying to get the message across is how did Finland go from being a very marginal, virtually unknown country in terms of mining to one of the world's greatest mining nations as we now find it. And it's all in its history, and that's what we're trying to unravel in this project. Now then, there we go. So just to review the current situation before we go back to history, the current situation is that we're in the top 10 for most amenable places in the world to mine. And in terms of Europe, we're number 1. This is according to the Fraser Institute. Now, they do an annual survey of companies and various people who have strong opinions and experience in mining, and we always get ranked very, very highly. But in terms of other things, such as infrastructure, databases, that's the Geological Survey, trade barriers and so on, you can see we're ranked typically number 1 this year, and we've often been number 1 for many years. So the question is then, how on earth did we get ourselves into this position? Where did it all start? And can we track it back to a particular event or a series of events? And that's what we're trying to recreate here for you. So in order to do that, we have to just quickly review the history of Finland. Politically, geopolitically, it's very complicated and it's quite difficult if you're a non-Finn, such as myself. But Peter has lived in Finland for many years and has immersed himself in the culture. I'm still learning about the fascinating history of the country, but if we take prehistoric Finland away for the moment, where we really don't have many documentations about what was going on, but certainly from about 1250 to 1809, there was some activity, and at that time, Finland was part of a different country. It was ruled by the Swedish, and it was actually what we call the Kingdom of Sweden and Finland. And then from 1809 to 1917, it changed hands again, and it was really known as the Grand Duchy of Finland, but it was effectively ruled and run by Russia. And then 1917, which was a big event, and we're about to celebrate the independence quite soon, Finland became independent and then joined the EU later on. Now, the reason I'm putting this in historical perspective, it's quite interesting because many of the mining operations that we've been looking at have spanned more than one sovereign entity. In fact, Orjärvi, which is quite a well-established copper mine, was operating in 3 separate different jurisdictions over those years. Started off in Sweden, then it became part of Russia, and now it's part of Finland. So that in itself is a very interesting story. And Peter and myself went to visit Orjärvi the other day, and even though it's a very dramatic mine story, it's not really appropriate for the public to visit, although we'll ask you for comments on this in a minute. We reported on Outokumpu in our first booklet, and we went back and did a little bit more work there. And then there's something called Ojamo, which is really the start of something that you could dig from the ground with value. And again, we've been looking at that because it's been going on for some time. Now, what we want to talk about today, though, is that we've been developing this idea that the lakes in Finland are actually they're wealthy in terms of potential mineral resources, as was found out by the ancestors in Finland. And again, we reported on this a little bit with one booklet, but we were so fascinated by the lake ores that we decided to explore this a little bit more. And it's turned out to be very interesting. In fact, so interesting that we're going to come up with something that we call the Finnish Iron Trail, or something like this. We haven't got the name fixed yet. We're open again to suggestions on this, but we're going to create a whole world where you can actually arrive in the country and go on a little tour, and you can actually find out how we got mining iron ore many, many years ago and how that led to all sorts of developments and improvements in infrastructure. And the little cartoon here shown on the right is just a mock-up of what we might be producing before Christmas. So we've been very busy, Peter and myself. We were a bit handicapped last year because of the pandemic. I was stuck in the UK for over a year. Peter was not really able to do much field work. We weren't able to join up. But as soon as we got back together again in the summer, we made the most of it, and we did some great field work together. We went and did some documentation. We did some field work together. We visited a number of museums where we'd had very positive feedback, and in fact, everywhere we've been in the country, the museum curators have welcomed us with open arms, and they've been really excited about the fact that we're helping them with their history and documentation. We've even done a little bit of analytical work, and that's I'm going to explain that in a minute. Now, you might remember that our story about Outokumpu starts with the name. The name Outokumpu means strange hill, and in Finnish, and it's because a boulder was discovered in a different part of Finland and it was tracked back to this strange hill where the ore deposit was discovered. But I'd never been to this location where the boulder was found. Peter had, but I really wanted to go and visit it. So we went there, and it's a remarkable story. The boulder had moved, we think, about 40 kilometers from where it had outcropped during the Ice Age. And the ore deposit was discovered because somebody actually walked back in the direction that the boulder had moved, knowing which way the ice was moving. And we know a lot about the ice movement at GTK because our colleagues have been mapping this and documenting it for many, many years. So there were two main movements, one effectively north-south and one slightly east-west or west-east. And that meant that it was actually not very clear-cut how the boulder had got to where it was. But anyway, we went back to the actual location, and here it is. It's actually this channel that you're seeing on the screen where the diggers, the people who were improving the canal and the channel, discovered this massive sulfide boulder. It was actually in their way. It was a troublesome boulder. They had to blow it up, and then one of the chaps decided, this smells a bit strange. Is this a meteorite we've hit, or is it something else? They sent a sample off to us, the GTK, and we sent a message back saying, this is very interesting. It's a massive sulfide. It's come from an ore deposit. We need to find out where this has come from. And we sent out some field parties, and very quickly it was discovered where it had come from. And the public can now share in this glorious exploration success because there's a plaque that you can read about the story. And here's Peter actually looking for other remnants in the channel, which is still a possibility. So there's a very nice story for the public then to relate how a boulder that was blocking a channel led to a world-class copper deposit that was operational for more than 80 years in Finland. And it was Outokumpu that got Finland going. But what we're interested in is what happened before that discovery, because prior to that, we really didn't have any world-class ore deposits. This is Orjärvi, the one I mentioned, that is probably the oldest mine that we have. And I was very excited to go there because of this historical perspective that we could add to our MineHeritage contributions. It turns out, though, that this is not ideal for the public to visit. First of all, there is no visitor centre. It's actually a hazard. It's actually a pond now because the water has infilled. It's a funny colour because it was a copper mine. There are fences all around it. We would not recommend the public go there. Also, the mineral processing plant is in an interesting state of repair, let's put it that way. We are looking into how this is being managed, but basically it's not a good advert for the mining industry. It really is quite disappointing when I got there. I could not believe that there's basically all this acid mine drainage going on. Anyway, while we were there, we met up almost by accident with the owner of this site. He happened to be walking along the road when Peter and myself were there. We met up with some environmentalists who were also there for a meeting. And we met somebody from a local museum who was an industrial archaeologist. And she said that there's an argument for not cleaning up these sites. And we were flabbergasted at this. And we thought, what? She was actually saying, no, this is an industrial legacy that should be kept as it is. So that's an interesting perspective on do we or do we not fix up mine sites? And the chap who bought the site is a multi-millionaire. He thought it was just fun to own an old mine site. And he's in the thick of all this, whether he should actually help. So there's an interesting twist to MineHeritage there. Now, getting back to the lake ores, which we started to investigate last time, the reason why we're getting more and more excited about this is we've discovered a few things about these lake ores which we don't think have been previously known and published. And so MineHeritage has allowed us to get into some really good science here as well. So what you need then is a lake. You need the appropriate conditions to be operating within the lake, we believe. And then you get these nodules forming, a bit like deep sea nodules, but they're lake nodules. And they were used by people 200 years or more ago to actually get iron from. And Peter wrote a very nice booklet about this last year, which appears on the website. So what you need also, though, in addition to a lake and the iron ore, is infrastructure and logistics and natural wealth that goes with it. For example, well, we need forests because we need to make the charcoal to heat up the foundries. We need limestone to add to the mix to get the slag to form. And we need water for water power and for cooling and for all sorts of other energy requirements. So it turns out if you have all these combinations along the top there in one place, and we have many of these occurrences in Finland, you have a goer. You basically could make iron ore you could make iron from iron ore, and you could actually start to make things like wheels, nails, axes, and so on. And that was really the start of the Industrial Revolution in this part of the world. Without that, nothing was going on at all. It was a very bad time at the turn of the century. There was famine, they had no mineral wealth, and this is all they could draw all their resources on. Also, it turns out foreign labor, expertise, and technology was required. And in fact, Peter and myself are both non-Finnish people, and Finland is still requiring people to come from outside to help with that. And finally, you needed access for import and export. And then, of course, you have the whole ecosystem there. So this is what we've been studying, is how did these operations work and why were they successful? We've been looking at collections that the Geological Survey have got of these iron ores, but we also went to two separate places to view it ourselves. One was a place called Murka, and one's called Juankoski. One is quite close to the Russian border, and one is slightly inland. On both occasions, we were absolutely stunned, Peter and myself. The museums that are there are fantastic. They have brilliant displays, they have lovely brochures, and they were very welcoming. They were very pleased that we were actually studying the samples. And so we were given lots and lots of samples to examine. We're not quite sure which lakes are likely to be more fertile in terms of these nodules forming, and I'll get on to what they look like in a minute. But basically, the country is full of lakes, and that's one thing that Finland is very famous for, is its glacial features. So post the Ice Age, lots and lots of lakes have formed. Of course, lots and lots of trees have grown in between. But if you look at the maps of Finland, it really is a lake district, particularly in the central part. And we know that as the ice retreated, some of the land remained freshwater, but in some cases the seawater did ingress. And we're wondering whether there's some sort of control here on whether the nodules form in the lakes. Anyway, you go to these lovely museums. First of all, they're just pleasant places to take your family. They have picnic spots, restaurants, they have guided tours. They're just really, really lovely places. Potentially hazardous for toddlers, but for your average member of the public, you can walk around, you have guided tours. It's really, really rather pleasant. I reckon at any time of the year, but mostly these places are only open in the summer. So we're going to document all the museums that we've been to and all the places, and this will form our iron ore trail. Another thing that I hadn't really appreciated, but I think Peter had seen this before, was augmented reality. So you can go to a place, you can scan a QR code. Is that okay? Yes. And your phone will actually start to come alive, and you will start to interact with it, and you can walk around the museum and the other exhibits. And in this case, a group of local actors had actually reenacted what was going on when they were digging up the iron ore, getting permission to smelt, and it's a fantastic experience for the public. So we're going to include all the links to that. And these are some of the products, by the way, that were made from the local lake ore. Now, if you own an orange-handled pair of scissors, if you look on the back, it will say Fiskars, and Fiskars is a famous brand. It's a very nice Finnish brand. They not only make scissors, they make all sorts of things. But Fiskars started life, again, on the humble lake ore, and then eventually, of course, it got iron ore from all over the world. But it's still there as a beautiful heritage village. We've just recently been there before we came here. And again, this is highly recommended for family visits, for anybody who's interested in history, lots of places to explore. And even the buildings were ahead of their time. I mean, the buildings are made from slag. And it's a lovely example of the circular economy going on all those years ago. So somebody had the bright idea that when they were making all this iron ore, they had a lot of slag left over. Well, rather than just form a big dump, why not actually make nice bricks? So a lot of the buildings have a few bricks made from clay, but typically there's all this slag involved. And so that's a very nice example then of, again, mine heritage, circular economy, and uses of what would have been waste. And again, another augmented reality walk that you can go on. It's quite remarkable how, again, these people who have set these museums up have had the foresight to embrace modern technology. I was absolutely amazed at the amount they've already done there. So our job is relatively easy in that we have to document these places, we have to point out where to go, how to do it. Perhaps we're going to add a little bit of historical perspective for the public, but basically the infrastructure is already there and very nice for this iron heritage trail. So what we're going to do then by the end of the year, is we're going to produce the booklet that's missing in your table. We're going to produce a map of all the places that we think are of great interest to the public from a historical perspective, and probably we're going to specialize in pre-independence sort of activities. We're definitely going to do a video, and we think we're going to get a publication out of the iron ore. And this is because we've realized that because Finland has got so many lakes, it could be that every single lake has got one of these deposits in it. It's just that we haven't gone to look for it. We've asked our colleagues, some people have had a little look, but there's been no systematic studies. So this has allowed us to get into the study of these lake ores. And so in case you're wondering what I've been talking about, these things are about the size of a coin. They're not very big. In fact, they look quite unremarkable, but it was these materials that people 200 years ago were making iron products from. And this is what got Finland going and what allowed them the whole sort of industrial revolution to take off. Anyway, we've been putting these things into our CT scanner, which is allowing us to X-ray the nodule without damaging it. We can see inside, and these are just two-dimensional cross-sections through 4 separate nodules. They're extremely complicated. They're so complicated that I think there's a whole story about the environmental history of the Earth being locked in here. These are like little time capsules, a bit like a tree in tree growth. Here we think we've got all sorts of climatic changes going on, as recorded at the bottom of Finnish lakes, but now trapped inside these nodules. Some of them have had quite complex histories, and you know, there's all sorts of curious things going on. And they're different depending on where you go. I mean, this is from a completely different location in Finland, and these seem to be more porous, and they have a definite nuclei, and they seem to be more regular. In fact, from a distance at the back, you probably think, you know, we're looking at cross-sections of tree trunks here. And we even have started to look at them in terms of mineralogy and geochemistry. And this is our latest thing, which we've just done in the last few days. So we can actually see here, almost, we can count the rings, and perhaps this might represent different days, different months, different years, different decades. We don't know. We don't actually know how old these nodules are, but they're fascinating. So just to round off then, I was absolutely staggered. We went the other day to a local calcite quarry as part of a GTK corporate bonding experience. And while I was on the ground there, I found this map on the wall that showed all sorts of iron-rich deposits and occurrences around the Helsinki Espoo area. Now, our main headquarters is in Espoo. That's where I work. And there's an iron ore deposit just around the corner from where we are. And I didn't even know that. And this map is actually showing where we've documented this. So we know that there's quite a lot of activity going on in the Helsinki Espoo area many, many years ago, prior to the opening up of the country to international mining. So we'll incorporate all this. And so just to finally conclude then, that we're going to be talking about then the early iron and the early copper deposits and how we have developed those and discovered them. We're going to have some nice maps for you on the website. We're definitely going to have a little video, and we're going to hopefully have some publications. And thank you very much again for allowing us to participate. And yeah, welcome to Finland and on the Iron Trail whenever you can visit us. So thank you very much. Yeah. So I don't know if there are any questions or not. Probably not. I haven't got time. Probably.
Maybe during the coffee break we can discuss things, because I'm not sure about the time schedule from Anna.
We have time for questions.
Okay.
Oh. We have prepared time.
So anyone has a question for Alan?
Or Peter.
For me? Or Peter? Or Anna?
No problem. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Anna, it's now up to you. So our host.
So thank you so much on behalf INESCTEC and our coordinator, José Miguel Almeida. It is an honor and a great pleasure to have you all here in Porto, finally, after 2 years. In our house. It's really a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to be with you today in the dinner and tomorrow in the field trip. So I will talk about the activities of INESCTEC during 2021 and the final outputs of MineHeritage. So INESCTEC, as you know, but for the ones that are watching remotely from their offices and homes. And today they will find out more about MineHeritage. Thank you for registering and for watching us live. But today they for sure will fall in love for MineHeritage. So I'm sure that MineHeritage will not end today. So as you know, Ineshktech is the technological partner of the project. Just a quick overview about our institution. The researchers involved in MineHeritage are all researchers of CRASH, Center for Robotics and Autonomous Systems, that is part of the Networked Intelligent Systems cluster. So after the field trip tomorrow, not for the ones that are watching remotely, but for all of you that are here, after our field trip tomorrow, you are going to have the chance to meet our lab, if you like. So Ineshktech was the leader of Work Package 4, which included this historical mining assessment, the high-resolution imaging and 3D mapping, the flight preparation, data acquisition, processing, the reports of the development of the flight operations, data gathering, mapping, visualization, the geo-visualization and images, and also videos, as you will see further ahead. So let's start let's start from the end. Today we are living and breathing the Portuguese Raw Materials Week. MineHeritage starts this week that includes two side events. It started on Friday with In the Black about deep sea mining and the impact assessment for future exploitation of underwater minerals. And this Portuguese Raw Materials Week included two side events, MineHeritage and in a few days, the Insight Workshop, which is another upscaling project funded by the EIT Raw Materials. And it was an honor to be part of the satellite events of the Raw Materials Week 2021, organized by the European Commission last week. So it was really an honor to be part. In the Black, MineHeritage, Insight were all events featured in the Raw Materials Week. So, and now that brings us to today. Today we are here all gathered celebrating this final meeting, the final of MineHeritage. And until yesterday, we had almost 50 registration, which is really good. And I hope we have almost 50 persons watching us live. So more activities during 2021. What Ineshktech was what did we do during this year? Due to some problems in our drones, in our UAVs, Ineshktech had to carry out a series of repairing operations to improve some features of our UAVs during the period of lockdown. Ineshktech also made several UAV test flights. The test flights were carried out here at the School of Engineering, ISEP, and at the Center for Robotics and Autonomous Systems, Ineshktech facilities. We also, during the period of lockdown, we acquired a specific and professional software where the main goal was to improve the gathered data in the processing stage, enhancing the 3D models of the old mines with other techniques and algorithms available. During lockdown, we also finished some papers in which we were working on. Hopefully, in the beginning of 2022, the publications will be available and in press. During May 2021, two of our researchers involved in the project, Alexandre and Tiago Santos, were managed to qualify themselves as UAS remote pilot open category A1 plus A3. This is valid for 5 years, increasing their skills and experience to fly UAVs with all the security and expertise. I'm seeing here Alexandre Amaral, Alexandre Oliveira. Please stand up. It is good to see you here because Through this project, through MineHeritage, I also see you grow. I learn a lot with you, but I also see you grow under the scope of MineHeritage as a researcher. So congratulations for your achievements. Also, other activities in terms of science and education under the supervision of other colleague that unfortunately is not here. He had another commitment, André Dias. It was possible to explore other type of drones, techniques to improve the navigation and localization of the aerial surveys and acquisition of high-resolution imagery. Focus in indoor environments. Master students performing several tests under the scope of their thesis, colleagues like José Antunes, André Moura, researchers with a scientific initiation scholarship for graduates at INESCTEC. These techniques can be applied to other MineHeritage sites and also be tested in these locations. And Professor João, see how we continue to use MineHeritage sites to test technologies, methodologies, and to train students. So MineHeritage also accomplished that. So this was a hard year for everyone, but also with good surprises like this one. The ship Mar Profundo, Deep Sea, developed to support the testing and validation of innovative technology, was launched on April 21st at the Nautiber facilities in Vila Real of Sant Antonio. This research ship is part of Tech4C, research infrastructure and knowledge by the Foundation for Science and Technology here in Portugal, and included in the Portuguese roadmap of research infrastructures. So as you can see, all of us, my colleagues and I, we are dying and ready to make science and help to develop technology with this amazing ship. So let me just highlight and to draw the attention to the development also of a specific robotic system. In this case, the geotech system that you already know, that was prepared to go underground. So we use a lot of geotechnologies like this one. We use FARO to map the underground environment. It's a powerful equipment to acquire data to help us to develop 3D reconstructions of the galleries. But also this amazing geotech system that we develop, as you know, under the scope of MineHeritage. And we had two students, I think that they are here also, Paulo and Pedro André, please stand up. They developed their master thesis under the scope of MineHeritage. So we can say also that MineHeritage helped them to grow as a researchers in our institution. And they have learned a lot, and me too. And I have learned so much with all of you. Congratulations to you both for this, also for this achievement. Now you are masters. But this is our robotic system, geotech system, developed, made in INESCTEC in Portugal. You can speak with Pedro André and Paulo, perhaps in the coffee break, but it's a compact and portable system that scans tunnels or caves, record all the data with a lot of sensors, 2 high-quality cameras, etc., and allow us to have interesting outputs of the first MineHeritage site, Tibens Monastery. Also the drones, the UAVs, in particular Stork, which is also made in INESCTEC, developed in our Center for Robotics and Autonomous Systems. It's usually used for power assets inspections, but can be also applied in other applications, such as search, rescue operations, 3D mapping, environmental monitoring, surveillance, and patrol. And with a lot of great characteristics that make this UAV unique and very special. So now this brings us to
to the MineHeritage sites that were born here. The case studies, unfortunately, due to COVID, as you know, I wish I went to Spain with Professor Juan. It would be amazing. I wish I went to Italy. It was also scheduled to go to Italy, but unfortunately, we had to stay in Portugal. The 3 locations are in Portugal, and the first one you already know is the Monastery of Tibens in Braga, of Leiras mine, which is really, really beautiful, beautiful place to explore and to find out more, with a lot of legends. We were talking in the icebreaker with a lot of stories. Fojo das Pombas, that you will be able to meet and to see tomorrow. In Valongo, and also in Valongo, this 3rd MineHeritage site, that is another tunnel that is part of this huge complex of this gold Roman mines in Valongo. But you will know all about it with Professor Alexandre. He's the last speaker, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm very curious to know more about these mines and this Roman complex, gold complex, with Professor Alexandre Lima before going to our field trip tomorrow. So this, in terms of final outputs, it's already available in our website. In the 3 models menu, you can, this geovisualization links enable us to explore and to have a perception of the study sites. Also, the final outputs, like these videos that in this case, for Mosteiro Tibens, the first MineHeritage site, will be also available very soon. As videos, as movies in our website. And these different perspectives from different geotechnologies and different robotic systems, the UAV flights, the Faro laser scans, the geotech system mapping and reconstruction and imaging, they are all available in these links in the geo visualization here, in the 3D models, where you can go underground, fly with us with our drones, and walk with us, for example, in the stairways, in the beautiful stairways of Tibens Monastery, as you can see here in these stairways, in this beautiful perspective of the stairways of this MineHeritage site. And of course, we are talking about millions of points that my colleagues were able to work, giga and gigabytes of raw data, thousands of images in the post-processing stage, and these are the main outputs of Tibens mine, And the MineHeritage site number 2, Fojo das Pombas, that you will be able to know tomorrow. These are some pictures of the field campaigns, the preliminary visits. Alto Relevo Speleology Association were a great support for us to learn and understand how to move inside the galleries, the risks, the safety procedures, etc. Because my colleagues and I, we were so excited to be inside in such environments that we just wanted to capture everything. So thank you, Alto Relevo, for bringing us back to Earth and making us aware to dangers. And this allows us to capture these amazing pictures. This is Fojo das Pombas in different, the underground view, a 3D perspective, the main entry. We were able, with Faro laser scan technology, to have access. You have access in the 3D models menu to these links. You can explore yourself. But you can see the main entry, the different tunnels, the whole picture, etc. And 2021 was dedicated to the MineHeritage Site 3, another tunnel of Valongo gold mine, the Gallery G1 Stairway I mine in Valongo. And the final outputs are already available in the website of MineHeritage, the UAV flights, the Faro laser scan, the shafts that you can almost like Sarah was presenting an amazing presentation with such interesting results, so awesome to see. Almost we are living underground, you know. So you are able to see also these billions and billions of points showing this underground environment of Gallery G1. And of course, let me show you several aspects of the fieldwork related with Faro laser scans and also the UAV's flights in the gallery in this specific MineHeritage site. And what is very interesting and what amazes me also every day is to see my colleagues work and how they combine the outputs from the UAV flights with a Faro laser scan or with a geotech system, robotic system, etc. And they put together and we can see almost the whole picture. We can travel inside home and to see almost the texture of the granite, the texture of these geological features. We did not forget, Ineshktech team has contacted, as you know, since the beginning of this project, the SciArc team and the Open Heritage 3D project. Again, we contacted again via email to integrate the MineHeritage project datasets, the 3 MineHeritage case studies, the 3, in the Open Heritage World database and include all the datasets in this Open Heritage 3D, which is a cultural heritage world project for education, research, and other non-commercial uses. In this context, it was presented the final outputs and results for their analysis and assessment, and we are still waiting for feedback. Hopefully, let's see if we are going to see MineHeritage in this map, world map, and perhaps to put a flag of MineHeritage in this open world heritage. Also, concerning the booklets and teasers, we already have Tibens Mine available in our website. Valongo Mine, Fojo das Pombas, is also available. The teaser of Tibens Mine is also available since the beginning, since 2019. I think it was one of the first ones. And very, very soon, these 2 booklets, Professor João, it's another extra booklet. We have the Gallery G1, the MineHeritage site, number 3, that will be available very soon, and also a special booklet about the robotic systems and geotechnologies, because I think that it makes sense. It was part of MineHeritage. And the last teaser, of course, about Valongo and these 2 combinations that you saw in terms of 3D reconstruction that join the 2 case studies, 2 and 3. It will be available very soon. Also, on track, the last report, the mapping visualization and images, it's already done and delivered. And finally, our acknowledgements to some entities that were really important to us. Without these entities and persons, it was not possible to move forward in MineHeritage. LabCarga, which is a laboratory here in the School of Engineering of Porto, to President of ISEP, the School of Engineering of Porto, where we are Doutora Maria João Viamonte and all the ISEP team for the support. The Board of Directors of Monastery of Tibens and the Veleiras Mine. The Valongo City Council, that you will meet tomorrow, some of the technicians that will be with us in our field trip. With no doubts, the speleology section of Alto Relevo Association. Thank you so much for teaching us how to move in these underground environments. To Professor Alexandre Lima, thank you so much for accepting this challenge and to be here sharing with us the final meeting of MineHeritage. And of course, to EIT Raw Materials, that we never know if it's going to be a part 2 of EIT Raw Materials, we never know. So thank you so much. But last but not least, thank you, Professor João Pedro Veiga, for putting this project together and for making us work together. Even due to COVID, since 2020 and 2021, it was really a challenge to develop MineHeritage. But I think that even remotely, we managed to work together. So as you can see, I believe in magic. So MineHeritage is something else from the outer world. So I think that this project was so successful due to these extreme environments that we really need to discover and explore. Not only the Portuguese MineHeritage sites, all partners, all of you. I think that people really need to discover and explore MineHeritage, and I have no doubts that sometimes me and my colleagues were in another planet with a unique ecosystem. Today is not the end of MineHeritage. MineHeritage is part of us and part of all of you. Professor João, the monk of the Monastery of Tibens is waiting for all of us. We will have the chance to hear today Professor Alexandre Lima talking about our field trip tomorrow, about this curious, amazing and awesome ecosystem in the Roman gold mining in Valongo. These are only 3 examples because MineHeritage has so much information for you to learn. So MineHeritage will always be alive. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. You don't have to thank me. No one has to thank me, of course. But I can say just a few more words that I didn't mention when I was making my presentation regarding the meeting with the IT. So, of course, the students were not forgotten. So, as Anna mentioned, the students, it was a relevant new KPI. So, it was not programmed from the start of the project to have this KPI on students and publications, papers, what we call the papers. So it was an added value to the project. We have 6 students that completed a master's degree under the scope of MineHeritage, and it was appreciated, so not only from Portugal, but from other partners also. And we had 7 published papers. Well, 2 are in the final revisions, but also which was not an original KPI of the project, and it was appreciated. So just to let this note. On the question of that Anna raised and that many of you raised also regarding MineHeritage 2.0, as you know, for this CAVA call, the wider society learning projects were not to be funded, okay? Sorry. So as they were not to be funded, we could not apply for funding. I think we will have to move in the future in another direction, especially because the IT is opening the raw materials culture and heritage branch, so it will not be under EIT raw materials, it's EIT culture or whatever. So I think we'll be more successful if we try Horizon Europe or other funding schemes. I'm studying it, okay? And yes.
I really think even today in the final meeting we have new 4 students that want to learn more about this project and that are doing their intern in this under the scope of MineHeritage.
I think we move now to Pavel, isn't it?
Okay, we shall start. So, hello everyone. So it will be a brief presentation because I focused only on the results from this year, so that it will be listed for following work packages. And the work package one, so the meeting here. So I'm very happy being here. I see you all, and maybe I missed here some Germany, because I think this year we had also the German meeting, but that's all of the project management from our side. So keeping the communication between us and between the leader of the project. Work package number 2 was about information on historical mining. And during the entire project, we we visited a lot of sites. All of them were very happy to be the part of the MineHeritage. They using their Facebook accounts or other websites. Sometimes they gave the links to the project. So possibly the result of Tarnowskie Góry, which was number 2, is the result of a strict cooperation with this silver and lead mine. One site drawback from the project was it's mentioned on the second place. It's Olkusz Bukowno, and possibly they were scared of a lot of people visiting this site in the future, according to the project, because they are starting up. They are learning some things about managing the museum and so on. So we said, okay, it's not a problem, and we didn't account them in the following steps. We covered different raw materials like the copper, iron, gold, silver, and so on. So in fact, we had a lot of the full list of raw materials. Work package number 3. This year we produced one booklet as we promised, as it's included in the project. It's about Krzemionki. It's a flint mine. It's one of the oldest museum mines in my country. It's a UNESCO site, so they also are very happy having this booklet, and they promised to make advertising of of the project as they can. That's how it looks. It's like according to the template, including major informations in both languages. This year we produced the video about Tarnowskie Góry, and we expect some rise of numbers according to this, because this museum is very strong in Poland. We regret that we couldn't include coal mining here and salt mining, because possibly you know that we have a world famous salt mine, Wieliczka Museum, and having this in the project could bring this on the higher level according to the numbers that João showed, but we couldn't. So just Tarnowskie Góry possibly is the leader of the among the sites. We prepared the questions for the app, so that this is included in the work package number 5. And dissemination was limited according to COVID, because we on the March and April this year we had a critical wave, and everything was closed and terminated, and we didn't start the academic year in the normal way. It was only online. We started this academic year in October, but in in not normal way, but just lectures are online and only laboratories are allowed to be face-to-face. So I'm surprised that I'm here because it took me 3 weeks to get permission. There's a lot of documents, explanations, special invitation for sent by João. So just okay. So that's it. So that's we couldn't manage any research night and minerals day this year. We did it before. So that's our dissemination was in the previous years of the project. That's the example. But we couldn't do regular dissemination, so we did what we are able to do. So we published impacted article, and João is one of co-authors. So he made the last revision of the before we send it to reviews. And the conception is quite simple, and it's based on the showing the areas in my country that spread when the iron was discovered there. So we have 3 regions, and the historical line is exactly connected with the iron mining and iron production in that area. So impact factor is maybe not so high because it's only 2.6, but enough for the project, and it follows the project conception, and I hope that citations will rise in the future. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Pavel. We will now proceed with Tallinn, with Karin Hobam.
I will represent Tallinn University of Technology from our side, and it's good to see you again over so long time, over 2 years again. So I'm going to talk about the outcomes of the year 2021, what we have done during this year. We have prepared 2 videos this year. One is called Phosphorite Mining in Estonia. That is already available on our project website. And another one will be soon available in our project website, and it's named as Mining Site Green Future, Sports and Recreation Area, the outcomes of the mining activity in Naidu oil shale open cast mine. And we have prepared 1 booklet. It's almost ready. We finished it last week, so you will get it very soon. And it's about the Estonian national stone, limestone. Then I talk shortly about our dissemination activities. And finally, I would like to talk a little bit about EUL, it's European Underground Laboratories Association. So let's move on. Firstly, I would like to talk about our first video. I will give you a short description of the content. Maybe some of you haven't watched this video yet, so you will get a short overview of that. So first one, I would like to say that in Estonia, it's the largest phosphorite deposit in Europe, is situated there, and the phosphorite has formed about 480 million years ago. It's a brownish grey oblong sandstone. And in year 1920, the company Eesti Phosphoriit was founded, and the phosphorus surveys are also extended to this year. The research activities lasted almost for 2 years, And during that time, the Oporto sandstone was evaluated as a phosphorite ore that was worth producing, and so the phosphorite mining in Estonia began. Phosphorite rock was mainly used for artificial fertilizer because it was really easily to enrich through shifting. And the phosphorite mining started in Ülgase underground mine. The main area for phosphorite mining was in Estonia, in Mardu. It's very near or next to our capital of Tallinn. And firstly, they started with Ülgase underground mine. And the mining there only lasts about 16 years because there were also this enrichment plant, but it burned down, and therefore in 1938 the underground Ülgase mine was closed as well. Nowadays the Ülgase mining passages has been under national protection, and people can't go there and visit there. As I said, the main area or the mining region is Mardu, that is next to our capital, Tallinn, and the total mining area was around 18 square kilometers. Although the Ülgase underground mine was closed, then in year 1940 a new underground mine in Mardu was opened, and also the enrichment plant. And in year 1954, also next to this underground mine, the phosphorite open cast mine was also opened. The phosphorite mining was stopped in Estonia in 1990, and it was mainly for economical reason, because the phosphorite rock has had low phosphorus content. At the present time, the Estonian phosphorite reserve is passive, and we do not mine it at the moment, although the phosphorite itself is in the list of European critical raw materials, and therefore the research activities are ongoing nowadays. And the second video that we have produced this year, it's ready, and I think that it soon will be available on our website as well. It's about Aidu oil shale open cast mine that is turned into sports and recreation activities center. The mining in Aidu oil shale open cast mine was started in 1974, and the total area of mining was approximately 34 square kilometers. Aidu oil shale open cast operated for 38 years, and during that time approximately 90 million tons of oil shale was mined. Aidu oil shale open cast mine was closed in 2012 because oil shale reserves depleted. And after that closing, the open cast mine entrances and the excavation area began to fill with water. Nowadays, the closed Aidu open cast mine is being turned into sports and recreation facility, as I said before. And in the year 2008, arose an idea to build a rowing channel in Aidu oil shale open cast mine that meets the international requirements. So this world-class water sports center will be ready hopefully next year in 2022. I'm sure that you will give a better overview about this oil shale mining and this side opencast mine from our video after it's available on our project website. And then we have prepared one booklet. I think it should be Ford from us. It's almost ready. It's ready because we finished it last week, yes, but soon we will send it to you. And this booklet is about Estonian national stone, limestone. In 1992, the limestone was declared as Estonian national stone, and that promoted its scientific research further. Limestone itself is a sedimentary rock, and it's made of calcium carbonate, and the color of it ranges in various colors, and it depends on the impurities of it contains. For centuries, limestone has been most ancient building material in Estonia, and several architecture buildings and important buildings have been built from limestone in Estonia, and especially in Tallinn, like Tallinn City Hall, Toompea Castle, and Estonian National Library. This limestone gives to our city an unshakable external look, and Tallinn Old Town is included in the UNESCO World Heritage List since 1997. From the booklet, you will give the better understanding how we are using the limestone and what we are doing with the limestone aggregate waste and the innovation solution for using the aggregates waste as well. So a little bit our dissemination activities. As it said before, due to COVID, we haven't had the opportunity to organize such and very many different events. Therefore, we started to promote the project through our own official social media accounts. And another place where we can promote the MineHeritage project is one room from us. It's Green Rock Lab. It's called the Green Rock Lab, and it was opened at the beginning of this year, in February 2021, and the construction of this room has been supported also by the EAT raw materials network. In these rooms, visitors can explore and touch Estonia's most important mineral resources. And also the same video, the short video about phosphorus mining in Estonia is also presented in this room. So it introduced the project itself as well. And finally, a little bit about this EUL that I mentioned before at the beginning of my presentation. The EUL, European Underground Laboratories Association, is a non-profit organization, and there are 7 different underground laboratories in this association that are situated in Finland, Russia, Poland, Switzerland, Germany, yes. And each of these facility core services include infrastructure for research and underground activities, and knowledge about each facility and the characteristic of each site, and expertise in conducting underground project. Each of these underground laboratories have its own and unique features. Like I said, like you can see this stable temperature, suitable humidity, or safe environment. So what you can get from this network? EUL offers an innovation and business platform for individual companies, research centers, and universities, and it helps business develop concept and processes that need an underground infrastructure. It's a little bit similar to this project. All laboratories or research centers are situated in old and to an old underground mines that has stopped its working, and nowadays it's using like research centers or testing areas. And this platform, EUL environment, enables the sharing of experience and support long-term regional developments. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for all your work. The video will be ready really soon, and we are anxious for the booklet. Next, we have our partners from Germany. Angela.
It's a pleasure to be here in person with all of you as we started in the same country. I'd like to use the first minute to kind of talk about three things, and then I'll show you a video. First of all, I'd like to use the opportunity here to introduce my colleagues who are here with me and who have worked on the project. There's one, Marijke Botefikat. She worked for the project, especially in this year, very successfully, very hard. Then I have my colleague Alexander Hudwaker with me, who also supported the project very much. And then we had, for sure, also an amazing team of students, and they brought always the creativity we hadn't had in a 50 hours of work week with COVID and everything, that the students then brought the creativity to us, so this was really great. Second point, I have a lack in reading and keeping calm. So I had the email last week on Wednesday, and I didn't read everything. So I prepared a video. So you'll get a presentation of me as a video. But the pro is I don't wear a face mask there. So this is what you get here. And then I just included the second half of 2021. So what we did in the first half of 2021 was mainly that we did our homework from last year and did our video for last year about the Emperor Wilhelmshaft, which was really a great video, and the students supported us there very much. And for sure, we focused on our newsletter. And about everything which we did in the second half of the year and will do, I'll tell you in a short video.
Glück auf, dear MineHeritage partners and friends of the project. I'd like to warmly welcome you to our presentation somewhere between Porto, where our final meeting takes place, and Clausthal, where we recorded and produced this video. We'd like to use the video to present our main activities and achievements within the last 6 months that complement the previous project activities. Therefore, we'd like to present you our highlights with a good combination of pictures in motion and fixed images and figures, supplemented by numbers and more impressions. For sure, the possibilities were still limited due to COVID-based restrictions, but we tried our best. We'll start with our biggest dissemination activity and the connected booklet on mining rights. Afterward, we take off with you and have a look at the water management system from above, as we did with 2 videos, a booklet and a great activity with children. Getting back to the ground, we'll update you on the latest activities of our Steiger as a historic person, and then close the state with a look behind the scenes. The presentation will be closed with an outlook on our left 3 dissemination activities in December, a heads up on the newsletter, and a closing perspective on this wonderful project. So let's jump right into it. On the 4th of September, 140 persons attended the Montanhistorische Kolloquium in St. Andreasberg, a full-day event on MineHeritage in a mining town of St. Andreasberg. 10 presentations were focusing on the different aspects of the concessions of mining rights in the Harz region. The topic was based on the 500th anniversary of the concessions of mining rights in that region. After 10 interesting presentations and fruitful discussions, the day ended with a celebration at the Grube Samson, a mine that is part of the World Heritage. Besides the scientific proceedings, the major findings of the presentation is presented to the wider public within the first booklet of Clauser University of Technology for 2021. The booklet was advertised as well during the event. For the second focus area of 2021, that can be seen better when you take off, and this is what we did. Using a drone, we captured the incredible views of the Upper Estonian water regal, the water management system of the Harz region, belonging to the World Heritage as well. Besides flying with drones, we took much time for deeper investigation of the sites and concepts to find the best spots and examples to explain the system to the wider society. The research paid off well, and we used it in a dissemination activity resulting in one video, another extended video and a booklet. In August 2021, we set up the dissemination activity in the framework of the Children's University. The children, aged between 6 and 10, first learned how much our lives are shaped by raw materials, even in everyday situations where you might not expect it at first, like when enjoying a breakfast egg, for example, where a pinch of salt is certainly not to be missed. After the jump from the fork to the water management, with many explanations about the upper Harz ore mining, the creativity of the children was in demand. In small group, it was a matter of capturing not only the ditches and watercourses and the mining ponds, but also the big picture of the Oberharzer Wasserregal using the later techniques. Equipped with a GoPro, a camera, a drone, all groups collected video materials and recorded small written text afterwards in which they could deepen and pass their knowledge together. In the end, a video was produced from all the material. That's our first video for 2021. But this first video had the main focus group in the children's and elementary school. For the learning of a larger group, for example the parents of the children, our team spent much time and effort to produce a longer, detailed video combining different elements and styles to enhance attractiveness. Starting from what you can see and use today, the viewers learn about the concept of the system and the different elements. But let's have a look at some highlights together from our video.
Das Oberharzer Wasserregal. Was soll denn jetzt an einem Regal so besonders sein? Und was hat das jetzt überhaupt mit einem Weltkulturerbe zu tun?
Was daran besonders ist, das zeige ich dir. Pass auf, lass es mich dir einmal so erklären. Bei dem Oberharzer Wasserregal handelt es sich nicht um ein altes, klappriges Regal mit Wasserkästen, sondern um ein komplexes Geflecht aus angelegten Teichen, Gräben, Talsperren und Stollen rund um die alten Bergbaureviere im Oberharz.
But to reach another target group, we decided pack the information in another format as well, and we created a booklet on the system, which can also be used as a supplement to the video. For sure, we continued also our other dissemination activities. In cooperation with the freshman program of our university, the more or less historic person of a Steiger was created, beginning of the MineHeritage project. A Steiger was and is still the supervisor in a mine. Impersonated by department staff members, we support the freshman program in different activities, such as the welcoming on board, giving an introduction to mining in our research and teaching mine, as well as celebrating with them during the awards ceremony. At each event we emphasize not only on the role of the Steiger, but also the importance of raw materials in our daily lives. In October and November, 2 of those dissemination activities were conducted with a total of 70 participants in the awards ceremony and 30 new students in an introduction event. The undertaken and planned dissemination activities in the last half year were held as face-to-face activities, but still supported by the facility and equipment set up for the video production, which supported mainly the time with more restrictions. Let me take you behind the scenes, and this is how we can do this in our media lab here, which is also used in our dissemination activities with children. We also have a portable smaller version, and the setup of this media lab was strongly supported by the MineHeritage project and made the results even better. But back to our activities. The project isn't over yet, and we have some things to come up with. We are planning at the moment 2 dissemination events for 4th graders. We'll use the same concept as we did with the Children's University, and the students become researchers. 2 classes will investigate the artillery shaft in Clausthal and create material for a video. They will write and record texts supporting the motion pictures. The 2 produced videos will be presented at a film premiere at the university in the middle of December. We are really looking forward to the results and the event. You might see the 3rd and the 4th video produced by us. Additionally, we'll have 1 lecture on mines as ambassador for responsible mining coming up in the middle of December as well. The class is planned to be held in a former mine, which is used as a museum today. But there's more left to do. I kindly remind you to send us your updates from July to November until the 1st of December so that we can create the final newsletter. The deadline was sent to you with more information via email on the 17th of November. We are looking forward also to your submissions there. It's the end of our presentation, and including the next steps we have to do here, it's the end of a wonderful project. We had planned to see more sites, discuss more in person, and have let our creativity work more together. But COVID stopped us 1 year after we started. Our plans to show you in action how World Heritage sites are communicating mining in our region, but our meeting was cancelled as well. Nevertheless, we are thankful for the opportunity to work as one European team to reach the society on the importance of raw material. Despite all odds, we brought our local sites together and created a network full of historical facts from ancient to modern times. We are proud to be part of this wonderful team and happy that we could contribute to the overall goal. So I close with a German miner's greeting, aiming for safety and secure raw material supply while connecting tradition and innovation. Glück auf!
So when you have any questions, I'm here. I'm not just in the video. And we can also discuss them later today. So thanks for your attention. Glück auf!
Thanks a lot, Ursula. It was a wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot. So regarding the situation of the different countries having different measures and restraints on doing live events and dissemination events, of course, it is impossible to reach the same levels of dissemination live or even online, depending on your country's situation. Globally, we have more than enough dissemination events. So we surpassed already the minimum value that we always offer, which is 2,000. So we have much more than that for this year alone. So do not worry if some of you were not able to do so much dissemination as expected in the start, okay? So now I think we have another recording, isn't it? I don't know if Mario is online with us. No one is online from, okay. We would say our thanks for them. But
welcome everyone. My name is Mario Molkács and I present the Faculty of Berg, what means the Faculty of Mining, Ecology, Management and Geotechnology of Technical University in Košice, in Slovakia. In the next few minutes, I would like to present to you what we have done in the last year of the project MineHeritage. For booklet, we choose locality of old medieval mining site, Rožňava. Rožňava was founded by German settlers in the 13th century. The colony was named Rožná Baňa, and in 14th century gained town privileges. A Roman Catholic parish of Rožňava was established in 18th century. Iron, copper and lead were extracted in early mines. Iron and steel industry made Rožňava one of the most important industrial regions in Austro-Hungarian monarchy. Rožňava's historic center is the largest square in Slovakia. The historic main square was created around the 15th century and still exists today. Its dominant buildings include the Renaissance Watchtower, the Town Hall, the Episcopal Palace, the convent of the nuns of the St. Vincent, and the former mining chamber. The Mining Museum in Rožňava was founded in 1902 on the initiative of the Borsod-Gemer section of the Hungarian Regional Mining and Metallurgy Society, with support of the town of Rožňava and financial donation from Count Dionys Andrassy and his wife. The conceptual inspiration came from author of the monograph on the Gemer mining industry, the director of the Železník mine, Gustav Eisele. The museum's purpose-built premises were erected in 1995, based in plans prepared by Alexander Müller, director of the Rožňava mines. The very first exhibition presenting mining and metallurgical themes and the wide range of mineralogical collections was open to the public in 1912. Exposition of mining and metallurgy of Gemer region is situated in the oldest purpose-built building in Central Europe, intended for mining and metallurgy museum presentation. It presents a cross-section through the history of Gemer mining and metallurgy from the earliest time up to the present day, with examples of original working tools, transport and loading equipment, and measuring and lighting devices used in mining. Part of the exposition is a technical copy of the medieval panel painting date 5030, known as Rožňava Metercia. In the last year of the project, we decided to create a promo video about Rožňava and its surrounding. The rich history of the city and its proximity to the border with Hungary and the proximity of the second largest city in Slovakia predeterminate this place to create such a video. During the summer and autumn of this year, we identified attractions in Rožňava, and the material was sent to create video. The final version is currently being created in the post-production company. At the beginning of the year, we worked from home, so we decided to make an application instead of workshops. The application is called MineHeritage and is intended for children in the first grade of primary school between age of 6 and 10 years. The application should help children to combine knowledge from history, geology and geography, of course, in a playful way. There is a miner in the game who asks children questions. On the other side of the screen are the options, the location of the mine on the map, and also pictures from the mine or mining location. At the end of the game, the child finds out his score. The application is on the web and is free to download. We hope that it will be used by more and more schools than a teaching aid. At the end of the year, we want to do some promo for this game. And now about the dissemination activities. We did the workshops as soon as possible in this year. In September, we did a workshop in Slovakia, Lubča, for 21 students of elementary school. The aim was to connect their local history with mining and show them how important mining was for the development of their region. In September and October, we attended two conferences called Man and Landscape in the Past, and the second one called ICETA, where we had active contribution to the subject of mining heritage as tourist destination and minerals and mining and its education in primary school. Measures against COVID are currently being tightened in Slovakia, and our activities are already going online. That's why we did online lecture with mining heritage topic for almost 40 students. Several of our activities, such as the planned workshops for November and December, have been cancelled.
And so now we move to the next presenter, which is, of course, Suzanne.
So we would first like to thank EIT Raw Materials for their support of the program, Joao Pedro for the management, and Ana Pires for her invitation to the closeout meeting in Porto. We will present our videos, our classes, the MineHeritage classes, and also the spin-off of MineHeritage. Normally, Christophe Roncato should have been here, but he has a lot of work, especially with the MineHeritage spin-off. We have two videos. One is about Le Grand Filon in Savoie. Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes is the geographic area in France, and it's the medieval iron mine that contributed to the wealth of and the power of the Duchy of Savoy. This is one of the countries that disappeared in Europe. They started in the Middle Ages in the 11th century, and they took hold of the mine, which was in fact an old silver mine, not a very powerful, not a very productive silver mine, but there was also iron there. And their first weapons were forged thanks to the iron of that mine. And it closed in 1931. And by that time, the Duchy of Savoy was in the process of disappearing. The other video we made was about the mine of Brande, Isère, Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes in France. The interesting thing about Brande is that it is a high altitude mine. For those of you who are skiers or who like the Tour de France, the resort of Alpe d'Huez is, in fact, located on the territory of Brande, and part of the ski area is over the old mining territory, and the mine starts at shortly under 2,000 meters altitude and goes up to 3,000 meters. And you had a mining village at 2,000 meters of altitude, and since now, once it had been abandoned, the mining village was preserved, gradually fell into disrepair, but still it's a mining village right next to l'Alpe d'Huez. And what is very interesting is that you see nature that has been disturbed over 1,000 meters of declivity between the mining village and 3,000 meters when the medieval mine decided to flush a whole hillside, mountainside away to find the silver vein. And also you find a shell keep type of castle, which was basically a shell. You see the outer walls, and it could be defended by 2 people only. And then we have, we have our classes, and the classes are the opening to the spin-off of MineHeritage. One is Reset, Ressources, Environnement, Société, in English, Resources, Environment, and Societies in Transition. This is a class taught by Christophe. The Anthropocene is a 24-hour class for bachelor students in applied languages with 4 hours devoted to the history of mining for 60 students. And Christophe also teaches at an engineering school a class called Piste, which is interesting because Piste is also the skiing slopes, but here it's something a bit more serious. The acronym is for engineering that is eco-responsible. It's an 8-hour class, and 2 hours are devoted to the history of mining for 25 engineering students. There is one master class for English majors, The Conquest of the West, and obviously there are 4 hours on mining for 10 students. Another master class is for applied languages, where 2 classes, in fact. One is environmental problems. It's a class taught by Christophe, and I teach indigenous peoples. And very often, when you look at the map of the world, very often the resources are located on the territory of indigenous peoples, and 4 hours of this class are devoted to mining. And then we have classes for the doctoral school, and we have opened them to doctoral students for every type of diploma. And it was a seminar, 2 seminars, in fact, 3-day seminars, and in each seminar, 7 hours were devoted to mining from every possible perspective, whether technical or economic or social. We have also started a program, a cooperation with the Europäische Akademie Berlin, a program called Green Your Life, and this is supposed to be ongoing, and we have had the first meeting in Grenoble. And then there is the spin-off classes. I will not be participating due to my retirement age in about 1 semester, but this is what Christophe will be doing. He has submitted an Initiative d'Excellence. It's a program about an observatory of the energy transition. and he will be working on that. He also has submitted a program called Subsurface Common Good, and a whole degree and new master program called Reset. It's the one he has started to teach this year. And I thank you very much. And I do hope that, I'm really happy to have met you all, it was really a nice experience. Thank you.
I was not aware of this situation of the spin-off question. So, Suzanne, what you mean is that you have incorporated in the classes the question of historical mining and so MineHeritage, and it is used in new courses, or is okay? It's very interesting that I was not aware, and it is an interesting development also because I was asked during the evaluation meeting. We don't have spin-offs, of course, because this is not a technological project, evidently. But this question of moving the knowledge that you have acquired from your activities into new teaching courses, it falls into in one of the points that is for us our evaluation. I'm not sure if today we have online, so Serge Montouré and Roland Gauss, they were invited to participate, of course. I'm not sure if they are online, as they cannot send us back their feedback. They can only watch. But it is interesting for all of us to be seeing these activities in person. I know that it is not what we are used to in-person activities in the past, but it is a good measure that we are having here. Without this type of meetings, we cannot strengthen our work together, unfortunately. It is how it is. And so with this meeting today, although it is a final meeting, as you say, and it is closing a cycle, I sincerely, it opens new perspectives for our work in the future. It is I am very keen on continuing our activities. It was not possible in EIT this year, but I hope to move forward since there is now in Horizon Europe specially dedicated calls for cultural heritage. I think we should pursue this attempt. Okay, so I am looking out for these possibilities to be working on these calls. Okay. So Anna tells us that we can move to the coffee. Yes, Peter.
Thank you, João, and for all these excellent presentations. I really would like to learn how these wonderful videos are made. But will you have resources or available for updating information on the website?
Yes.
So it's not going to be
exactly
terminating at the end.
It is very important. Your question is, in fact, of the utmost importance because the website has been prepared by us, so our team. We have 3 IT students working with us. So they are only working with us in part-time, but they managed to do this. And so now we are able, Anna is able, when I say we, it's Anna is able, to update the site with everything, okay? So she can include more mining sites. She can include videos, booklets, news, whatever you want.
Okay.
Links.
Yeah, okay, yeah, links. I was going to ask about that and other types of documentation.
So we still don't have many links in our website. We are going to include many links, hopefully. And so it can be updated indefinitely, in fact. So we are hoping to get from you more and more information whenever you have more information, okay? So if you have more mining sites, if you have more videos, I will even use Angela's new video because she's not going to escape it because the video was so well done that it was going to be included in the platform. So we can update it regularly, whenever we want. Okay?
Excellent, thank you.
So as we continue in the network, you just say, oh, I have this interesting information or this interesting news, or I want to publicize this. Why not? Because we continue with the social networks and with the website, fully updated, okay?
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. I attended the first meeting in Lisbon. It was a very similar room, so I'm really surprised. I feel like at the opening meeting, but it's the closing meeting. Okay, so I'll try not to tell the same story as I told in the first meeting, and I would like to briefly go through different activities that we've prepared in this MineHeritage project, and also give you a bit of feedback of what happened recently. So just a reminder, so we've prepared 3 industrial heritage routes. One that you can follow by bike, one by foot, and another one by car. At least I realized that afterwards that they have 3 different lengths. So you already heard about this one, which was prepared by Maxime, who attended a series of intermediate meetings of MineHeritage, so the industrial stroll along the Oort River. I think it was a good idea because the starting point of this route is that we start from the Museum of Metallurgy and Industry, which is the only place where we celebrate industrial heritage in Liège, and the industrial heritage of our region is really important, especially, well, we have coal mining, but also iron making and zinc metallurgy. And we realized that only in, well, that's a length of about 25 kilometers. So if you take your bike, you cycle from the Museum of Metallurgy, from the city center of Liège, and you cycle along the Oort Valley, you have a series of sites within those 25 kilometers that allow you to see, there's not always much left, but at least the place of a former zinc smelter, a zinc mine, a hydraulic roll mill, zinc hydraulic roll mill, a power station, ironstone mine, lime kilns, sandstone quarries. The last ones are still active. So you have a good overview of important industrial activities, some of them historical, others still active, which relate to the raw materials sector. So last year, we all know that the situation became difficult with the COVID crisis. So I prepared another booklet, which is called Metal Hunting in the Heart of the Fiery City. So I don't know if I should say fiery city. I think, you know, Liège is known in French as Cité Ardente. And ardente means ardent, vibrant city. But of course, ardente is referring to the red, vivid red color of the furnaces. So ardente was referring to this tradition of steel making. So I think it's better translated by fiery city. And because people could not travel too much, the idea was to have just a walk in the very city center. This time we were starting from the museum, which is called Musée Curtius. Curtius was one of those guys who made a fortune in 1600s by making weapons out of local iron ore and selling the weapons to the Spanish. He was a Catholic, so he was selling weapons to the Spanish. Others were more Protestant, selling weapons to the Dutch. And as I often say, we were also offering the battlefield. So that's in the summary of the history of Liège. So making weapons, selling weapons to both sides, and telling the guys, if you also need a battlefield, please feel free to use our region. That's in a nutshell, that's the history of my city. So destroyed many, many times. No, but fantastically, in this very city center, this old city center, I could plan like a small walk of about 2 hours. You can do it yourself with the booklet and some additional information, but ideally it was intended to be used with guides whom I educated to tell the right stories about iron making in the 16th century, about modern steel like corten, which is corrosion and tensile resisting. If you wonder what corten means, it's corrosion tensile strength. Stainless steel, of course, bronze, brass, copper, zinc, lead, and even gallium. These metals are illustrated by different stops in the very city center that you can do by foot. And this year, I finally decided to start this European zinc route that I would like to really promote. And the best thing is then to just prepare a booklet around Stop Zero being not in Liège, but in a place called Kelmis in German, which you translate by La Calamine in French. And you know, calamine, you know, it's the name that we use to designate these zinc carbonate. So it's a historical place where zinc was mined by the Romans and where zinc metallurgy started exactly 200 years ago. I had the opportunity in 2019, exactly 2 years ago, to celebrate the bicentenary of the first ever zinc ingot casted during a group meeting of the German Society for Metallurgy. They had a special zinc interest group, and I'm happy that I could celebrate these 200 years because it was almost forgotten, and I mean, no one in Liège was celebrating it, and most people do not realize how important the history of zinc is to the city. Okay, that's the starting point of a company called Vieille Montagne. So Vieille Montagne had a series of sites, and they quickly extended. So it's a 200 years of an industrial adventure. So Vieille Montagne extended quickly into Germany, into Sweden, with this famous Zinggruvan mine, which is still active. Even, you know, they acquired it in 1857. They sold it again in 2007. Now it's being mined by Lundin, being operated by Lundin, but it's still active. So it's one of those few mines that have been operating for more than 100 years. And Vieille Montagne was obviously also involved in Iglesias, in Sarah's presentation. So there is a nice story to be told there. I'm involved now in an association called Vieille Montagne Heritage. So there are a few guys from this company who are trying to celebrate the memory of the company and bring together everything linked to that company. But we're looking for more means to be able to keep the memory. So here the booklet will be around this Belgian zinc route. I would not say we will make it to European, hopefully later on. So this is more or less the circuit. So we start in La Calamine, which is exactly at the border with Germany. And that's where the historical mine site is. And then it brings you to a series of spots across Liège. Liège is in the center of the map here. And the idea is to invite people to stop and see what is left. There's not always so much left. So I will use here illustration from a fascinating document. There are engravings by Mogard from 1855, which are absolutely fascinating. There are 2 series of 30, so I will not show them all. This is just to show you this Moresnet open pit mine. So that's the mine at, okay, Moresnet is just a village next to Calamine, to La Calamine, so to Kelmis. So of course, today it doesn't look like this. There's only one building which is preserved, and you need a lot of imagination to see where there are a few remnants of this landscape, but there are a few signs that will help you to locate. Even worse, this is the smelter in the very city center of Liège in Saint-Léonard. So there's nothing left indeed, but it's important for people to realize that this was in the very city center. Already in 1850, 1880, people were complaining about pollution and impact on health, etc. So they moved this smelter a bit further away. They were operating with the so-called Liégeois kiln that has been working until 1950. So that's a technology of basically condensing zinc in non-oxidizing atmosphere, because if not, it immediately goes into zinc oxide and into the vapor phase. So this is typically the kind of kiln that was invented in 1809 by Jean-Jacques Denis. So the first ever zinc ingot was cast at 1809. This is 1855, when you see a lot of people were working. And the fantastic thing is that you also have, next to all these engravings, you also have a fantastic collection of pictures. So this is 1868. The director then had the idea of making a photographic album in 1868 with all the workers and employees being represented. Of course, I heard people complaining that you don't see these people sweating, etc., because, you know, 1868, you cannot really do a live kind of photography. You have to ask people to pose, and you can imagine the furnace is not working when they're posing like this. They're just posing like if they were working, but obviously you don't see them sweating and suffering, but you also see kids working just at here, extracting the zinc from the condensers. So fascinating story to be shared and to be told. So we move here to another place, which is the place of Angleur. From Angleur, we can go to the roll mills of Tilf, who nowadays look like this on the very right-hand side. So they're transformed in apartments. So again, there's nothing there to really tell you the story of this zinc roll mill. You see a picture from 1920 when the site was still active. But of course, again, for most people, this is history and forgotten. So I wrote a paper on this Tilf zinc roll mill. So I really love doing that. It's more a work of historian. So I published it with an impact factor of 0, as I said, because it was in the local paper. But I'm happy to share it, and it's open access. If you're interested, I will give you the link. Okay, this is a bit what we are preparing. So for the third booklet around this zinc history. Now, if I had to summarize what happened this year, I would like to quote Queen Elizabeth and saying that it was annus horribilis for most of the things we tried to do. So of course we all suffered from the COVID crisis, but typically this idea of having this metal walk in the city center, I had prepared a lot of things, quizzes and stories and a lot of documents for the guides to give them a lot of material to tell stories around the different elements and the industrial heritage in the region and, well, different names of metals. And for example, also the art of making a nail, which is a fantastic story. Making a nail is not something simple at all. Just think about it. How would you make a nail in 17th century? So there are plenty of nice stories to be told. So I've prepared a lot of material, but it did not happen because normally these walks had to be organized in March 2021, and due to the COVID crisis, we could not really organize this in 2021, but hopefully next year we'll be able to do it. And in any case, the material is there, and many guides of the city of Liège are happy to tour people in this part of the city and tell them the history of metals. By the way, we also have a similar walk in the very city center, which is fossil hunting. That has nothing to do, but if you're interested by the idea, it's a very popular idea to invite people to discover fossils in ornamental stones and in building stones, building material of the city center. So it works a lot. It works very well with kids. Okay, here it's about metal. Okay, so then we tried to coming back to the first booklet. So we had this activity of cycling along the Urt Valley, so 25 kilometers. So we had the agreement with the city of Esneux to place QR codes. So we were ready to place a series of marks along the cycling path. So to invite people to scan the QR code and to have a lot of activities on a website called Circuit, which is basically a GIS system that helps you have extra information linked to the spot that you're visiting. So everything was in place. We were about to post these signs, to place these signs. Then it was delayed due to the COVID, and it was even worse. Well, in a certain way, we were lucky, but you heard about these floods. So on 15th of July, we had severe floods. So if we had placed the signs, everything would have been washed away. So in a certain sense, okay, we were lucky, but the other thing is that, as you can imagine, so the whole valley now is in very difficult situation. This is the place where I live, but I have the chance of living on top of the hill, not in the valley, not in the center. So you heard about, well, here in this valley, we had 43 people killed. There were another 100 people killed in Germany. So in total, we were close to 200 people killed. We see very damage to infrastructure, etc. So it was really, really difficult year. So as you can imagine, this is for the moment in standby, and hopefully we'll first recover the infrastructure, the bridges, etc., the roads, and once it's okay, we'll think about this cycling path again. So the last thing I would like to share is a project of a video. So if I remember correctly, initially the idea of MineHeritage was to use the industrial heritage, the history of mine sites, to also try to raise the awareness about the importance of mining and all the skills and jobs that are linked to mining, metallurgy, etc. So here the idea for the moment is to make a video with the help of the International Zinc Association, with whom I'm working. So that's a professional association of all zinc producers. So we'll have a video where we first have, I would say, the historian, so Céline from the museum, the Zinc Museum in La Calamine, Arnaud, who is a specialist of the history of this company, Vieille Montagne. Then we'll move to the uses of zinc, and then we'll also speak about skilled workers that have been placing these zinc roofs, notably the zincs of Paris, etc. And finally, we'll speak also about the engineering sides, about recycling, and about mineral processing. So the whole video should be a story starting with the history of a mine site and hopefully linking to the modern jobs and the challenges of recycling zinc and mining zinc in the future. So that's where we are today, and hopefully this will be ready by end of the year. At least we'll spend the money by end of the year, and maybe you'll get your video in January. Thank you very much. There's one thing I wanted to add, just because I noticed that Sarah was presenting SOS and Atos. What is amazing is that for the moment there are 2 sites in Europe which are being investigated for the Einstein telescope. I don't know if you're aware of that. No. So the Einstein telescope, it's a project of a telescope for gravitational waves. So it's a very high-level science. So it's not a telescope at all. I mean, I'm not a specialist of gravitational waves, but the idea is to build a triangle of galleries at 200-meter depth. So for the moment, they're doing all the site investigations, and the 2 sites that are, for the moment, candidates for the European Einstein telescope are this region of La Calamine, so the triple border between Netherlands, Germany, and Belgium, where you had this former zinc mine, and the other one is SOS and Atos in Sardinia. So, I mean, the most advanced, the most sophisticated project about Einstein telescope, gravitational wave telescope, is coinciding exactly with those 2 historical zinc mine sites. So maybe just matter for thought. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We hope that everything is going well in Liège after the flood. We will now proceed with the University of Padova. They couldn't be present here in person, but we have a video presentation.
Hello everybody, this is Alberto Artioli from Padova. Unfortunately we cannot attend the meeting in presence, but here is a brief report of the activities we did and the products we did in Padova. The booklet this year was devoted to the area of Saint-Marcel and Servette in Val d'Aote, in the extreme north west of Italy. And not only it's an area that of course can be visited, it's very, very interesting for the local mining activities. But again, as you know, the usual philosophy that we are using, it's actually engaged in an active research plan at the moment, and we want to understand fully whether the mining activity that has been known from the Middle Age to the modern period can actually be pushed back into the Roman or pre-Roman time. And for this, we prepared a booklet, but there is an ongoing activity showing very close by the visible and visitable area. There are heaps of slags that you can see in the upper right. And the excavation showed that there are Roman structures that are embedded with the slags layer, and therefore it is very important to understand the chronology between the archaeological remains and the mining activities to see whether they can pushed back in time and what kind of technology they were using. And of course, I mean, you can see here some of the Roman walls directly founded on the slag heaps, And some of the data that we are extracting from the slags, including radiocarbon dating of the charcoals and all the technical details of the roasting and smelting activities. So there is a heritage, a mining heritage that can be visited. Is mostly, from the Middle Age or the industrial times, what you can see. But the research is actually, providing information on earlier mining activities and early trades of the metal. This is again the philosophy that we used for the video, that is actually making a summary of the sites and the evidences, and also the reconstruction of the smelting sites, the prehistoric smelting sites in Trentino, in the, let's say, southeastern Alps. We know that there are a huge amount of slags, mainly from the Bronze Age. But the research that we did shows that there is evidence of much earlier smelting in the Copper Age. So there is an extensive prehistory of metallurgy that needs to be fully interpreted. And the mineralogical, physical, chemical analysis of the slags tells you, what changed in the ability of procuring the metal and the smelting activities, basically. So the idea that the video wants to put forward is to try to show the chemical isotopic links, what we can measure, and actually links the minerals, the slags, and the objects. Archaeologically, these three evidences are found in different places, but they can be linked and traced back, by the physical and chemical measurements, basically. And what we did is an extensive database of the ores existing of the mines, and of course can be traced very precisely by isotopic or a combination of chemical and isotopic parameters. Here are the plots of the lead isotopes ratio. And the results, which are actually what we are presenting in the video, is that the analysis of the objects that are made by this copper and can be traced, all around Europe, from the Balkans to Central Europe to Scandinavia. This is an example of the sorts. It's actually providing the basis for understanding the movement, the trades, the massive trades of the metals in prehistoric times. And this is just a sketch of the possible trades between Northern Amber, Cornwall tin, or Atlantic tin, and Alpine copper already in the Middle Bronze Age. And that's, about 1500 before Christ. And that shows directly that Europe was much connected already at that time. And we don't need industrial times in order to move massively materials and metals around. And the video is, this is what it wants to convey and want to show, starting from the actual sites in the Alps and showing these European connections in prehistoric times. Some of this material was presented at several important meetings during the year. Here are a couple of communications where we actually dealt with the details of the evidence and the analysis of the archaeological smelting sites, especially slags, but also isotopes and metals. There was an extensive and very important national meeting in Fiave, in Trento, where there was an ample discussion of the evidence of the mining and smelting activities, especially in the Bronze Age. And we presented, of course, the MineHeritage project there, and you can see the picture that we were showing at the meeting. Then there were a couple of other very interesting presentations, despite of the COVID, in Britain. This was done, of course, over the web. But there was a brainstorming workshop, a very important one, in order to set the basis for the future research activities in archaeometallurgy. And we presented, of course, some of the results and the ongoing projects, including the mining MineHeritage, of course. And last but not least, very recently in Sardinia, there was Orally Festival, and we made a presentation, of course, also showing the mining activity on a round table concerning the trade of tin through the Mediterranean and through Europe in past times. Again, I'm not going into the details here, but it was, it had a huge impact on the researchers and on the general public. We had thousands and thousands of views of this very interesting workshop and roundtable. And here are some of the results we presented of Sardinian tin objects, very unusual material. And we put that into the very broad context of the trade of ancient tin in prehistoric times from the Atlantic province and from Central Asia into the Mediterranean, with the ample exchange east-west through Italy, of course. It's a central position for this trade. So I think that I showed you that behind our products, like the booklets and the videos, there is a research activity, and this is one of the strongholds that we want to show. I mean, we want to show that the valorization of the MineHeritage goes to research and interpretation of the evolution of the mining activities through time. And here is just a summary of the booklets we prepared. And I want to acknowledge the collaboration between myself and Katerina and Ivana, of course, that helped a lot and during the project. Of course, it was a pleasure to interact with all the partners during the MineHeritage activities, and I hope that what we produced will be future, very useful for the general public as well. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. I'm not sure if Gilberto or Caterina are connected with us, so we say our hello to part of our university, and thank you for your presentation that you sent us beforehand. So now we move to Marta.
I'm very happy to be here face-to-face to all of you, and I'm really happy that we managed to, in this situation, at least some of us to meet face-to-face with this final meeting. I will present here only the report for 2021. I won't speak about what we have done earlier. University of Zagreb, Faculty of Mining, Geology and Petroleum Engineering was involved in 3 work packages this year: project management, development of popular science material, and dissemination and communication. In the frame of the project management, we attended the first meeting online, all of 3 of us, and I'm very happy that also today we are all 3 members from our team are here, so Anna and Mihaela. In the frame of work package 3, we did 2 videos. Those videos are already online, and we are preparing the brochure, almost done, but we didn't manage to send you earlier. I hope it will be done before 19th of December, when we will have one big event, and because of this Facebook clicks, it will be really good to have it. I think all of this, what we have done this year for VP3 is actually additional value, because our first plan we already fulfilled last year with videos and brochures.
We are also very happy that despite the situation, we had really good dissemination and communications activities. We were at long night of museums, science festival, exhibition of industrial heritage of Hrvatsko Zagorje, 10th International Progeo Symposium. We also organized one visit to Santa Barbara mine and Samobor town, published one scientific article in GeoHeritage Journal. We also had one master thesis of one student. The thesis was not directly connected only with MineHeritage, but the big introduction was also connected to MineHeritage, and we also helped students to, MineHeritage helped to, with the whole thesis. And at the end, 17th anniversary of Croatian Geological Society, where we will be also present. I will tell a little bit more about each of these events. So long night of museums we had on Friday, 29th of January, and Radboa Museum. Our star site is Radoboj, and there they invited us actually to have our video as the main part of the event, and it was a premiere. So they asked us not to publish the video before, and I'm very happy that we had actually 1,860 views on Facebook, 104 likes, 30 super, and 16 comments. So it was really nice, and we had really nice comments about the video. Then we had a science festival. It was organized in Technical Museum Nikola Tesla in Zagreb on Monday, on 10th of May. And I did one lecture for high school students titled Mine Treasure Under the Feet of Our Ancestor. Actually, it was everything connected with our star localities. I'm not sure how many attendees there were, so I will try to find out and send in the future. This is maybe the most important event we had, because we had more than 5,000 visitors in the Museum of the Peasant Revolts. It was organized one exhibition about the industrial heritage of Hrvatsko Zagorje, and our team helped organizers with this part of mining heritage. So the brochure of Radoboj was disseminated there. Our QR code was in the exhibition, so we are very happy that many people reached us. Then we attended also 10th International Progeo Symposium. It was online, and I did short oral presentation about interconnection of cultural and geological heritage at our four localities, and there were 34 views. I saw the attendees, but I don't know if we can also say all of the participants could see also much more than 34 who saw the whole presentation. Then we organized a visit to the Santa Barbara mine on 22nd September. We had actually 18 attendees, and there we also disseminated our brochures and videos, not only of Santa Barbara mine, but also of our other localities. Also, thanks to Anna, we have also one scientific article in GeoHeritage Journal, Croatian Geoheritage Sites with the best case study analysis regarding former mining and petroleum activities. It is available online for downloading. And this thesis, what I said on 12th of February, was defense of the thesis of student Adelita Skitarelic. Also, it is in Croatian, but it is possible to download the thesis as well. And the last event, which will be on the 9th of December, we don't know yet, will it be online or face-to-face. And we will have a presentation of our project. So this is the 70 years of our Croatian Geological Society, and if there will be online, maybe even 300 people will be there, because I think we have some 600 members. So in conclusion, we have 2 videos in this year, already 795 views of these 2 videos, 1 brochure, 6 wider society events. So altogether, I think it is more than 7,000 people who saw MineHeritage project in any, and then 1 scientific article and 1 master thesis. Nobody spoke about the budget. I put also this. We are satisfied. We have only problem because 3 of us came, but I heard that we can also put some changes when we make the financial, because we will just transfer some of personal costs to travel. Okay. And Angela said, good luck, Glück auf, and I will finish with Sretno in Croatian.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We'll proceed with our last partner for today from UPM. Last but not least, of course.
Thank you. I'm the last one. So after this long day, I expect to be short enough just to finish to enjoy. I would like to show you, well, start talking about the team. We dedicated this project mostly with students, and they continued most part of the project with us. At least last trimester, starting in September, some of us moved, but they moved with Veiko, so he has them there in Tallinn. Just the other part is still with us. What I would like to show you briefly is about, sorry, no, page, now here, thank you. It's about the team's activity. For the first thing I wanted to show you is, well, to tell you, is a communication that we submitted to International Congress in Education. You will remember, Joao, we included you. It's the most interesting part of us is, I don't know how it was recognized, but it was done by students. All of them are there, together with you and together with me. So it for all of them was the first paper they were submitting in their life. So I think it was a good and nice, interesting exercise. And for this year, what we prepared were 3 booklets. The 3 completely different. The first one is perhaps shocking, but it's, and it is, but it's a former mine. Is one of the most important mining sites, iron mining sites in the north of Spain, which is Cabárceno. And that's the reason for the geology you can find there and the landscape so characteristic that you can find in the upper sides. But the whole mining area was recovered as a wildlife park where you can go by car from one side to another and see in semi-freedom elephants, bears, and all kinds of animals over there, without forgetting the former mining past of the area. This area was object of mining exploitation since Roman's time, so it's quite really nice. No? And the booklet was oriented mostly to highlight the mining past of the area, but together what was in the past and what's now, the moment, no? Linking history with future, let's say. That was a a sort of idea behind this booklet. Well, I don't know if we managed to get it, but the idea was to not to forget that the mining has been present in our lives for many long, and in the future probably things will be different, but based on also on the mine and in our past. The second booklet was oriented to the Linares Mining Park. This is one of the main historic areas in the mining history of Spain, because it's linked to the activities of the French company, the Société Minière et Métallurgique de Peñarroya, which is one of the exploited the most important sector. Well, here we had to dig a lot in history because not too much information was easy to find, especially on a lockdown situation where we couldn't move and everything was to be found on internet. In this specific area, there was not too much information on internet, so it was a quite interesting example. And the last one is the Unión Mining Park, which is in the southeast part of Spain, in the Región de Murcia, which is another former important mining site. Activities were stopped after the First World War. Mostly the production was devoted for armors and weapons in the First World War. After that, the mines were shut down. And there's an interesting way of recovering the historic and the heritage of the area through this old mine complex, where there's a route that links all the mines and the history. Well, we thought it was one of the best places to meet it. Regarding dissemination, we were lucky in 1st October, all the university centers were reopened to public, so we could finally accept visitors. And the first event that we could participate, because during 2021, no event, not only online, were done. The first one we made, I consider it a success, because we had 3 schools coming together with some families. So we had the funny situation that after 2 years, once again, we had school boys running at the school. But well, the main issues that we had more than 200 participants, 3 schools. That one, they came 70 face-to-face. The other 2 decided not to come because they were still under the schema of bubble groups, so they didn't want to go out from the school, so they linked online. It was an interesting experience just to restart recovering normality, whatever happens in the next weeks or in the next months. But to finish the project, more than, I know that you mentioned that it was to talk. I was supposed to talk about all the activities done during this 2021. But I wanted to remember that this project has gathered information of 439 mine sites, which is not a bad number. No database has reached this number. We all together reached that number. So I think this is one of the best success of this project, with more or less. And there are plenty of places in Europe that we don't have information, and probably for MineHeritage 2.0, we should head towards that direction of completing this database and arriving to cover the whole Europe, because nobody did this before. And I don't know if somebody will come behind, but probably I would prefer if it is us who do it, that rather than others. No? we did a lot of, probably we don't remember, but a lot of work searching for information, entering the information in the database. In our case, well, we covered this information with those books. What we decided is to cover more or less the Spanish territory with most representatives, not, well, some representatives areas in the mining project. We did a lot of videos, a lot of promotional materials for events. I think that if we have a look behind to what we've done, we should be very satisfied with the project. Even probably we could have been doing much better, probably, I don't know. But we had to work on a very, very strange situation. Nobody got it before. No? I wanted to add the last event that we could have, at least in Spain, no? The Expo Minerals 2020. Oh, sorry. This was done the weekend before we went into a lockdown. So especially, and this is for you, Joel, thank you very much, because I think we got it.
Thanks a lot. So before it is a thank you to all, because the work is done by all, and it's impossible without partners.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
You had the idea.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Before finishing our sessions, we already spoke about the activities of the partners. We are going to prepare our visit for tomorrow. I'm looking for Alexandre. Is where? He's there, sorry. I was looking for my colleague. So for tomorrow, we are expecting a very nice visit organized by Anna with the help of my colleague Alexandre Lima. And so he's going to tell you a few words about what we might expect. And so, Alexandre, if you want.
Well, good afternoon to all. What's a great afternoon for me. It's really lucky that I was invited. I first want to thank to Professor João Veiga and to Ana Pires to come to this meeting, because in a few hours I learned a lot, and it was really nice to see all these presentations. Fortunately, they will be available, I hope, in the YouTube for share with many other colleagues. So I'm working in many different European mining projects, not related with the heritage, but we think, or I start to think that we need to spread better the word about what we are doing, because I'm sure that if some of my colleagues were aware about this work, we could improve our work in our projects. So first words are to say, what amazing afternoon. So the next step, it will be just show what we're gonna see on the tomorrow afternoon. So I have a presentation I changed it a little bit just to show, so I will directly from my pen, just to show different things. I saw it so common work with the work that we are doing that I decided to come with some different slides to show what is available for this area that we will visit tomorrow afternoon. So I hope that I'm able to do it directly from here. So for that reason, some of the Yeah, I need to put the glasses. Yeah. So this one, and so about our visit of tomorrow, I will then talk in the end about the logistics, because we have a bigger group than I thought, so we need to divide in 2 groups, but it's okay, it's easy. So again, my name is Alexandre Lima. I'm a geologist, and I'm working at Faculty of Science here in University of Porto. And in fact, this symbol that you see here should be the MineHeritage one, but something was wrong. Anyway, this is the symbol of the new park that was formed just in the area that we're gonna visit. In Portuguese is Serras do Porto, that means the park of the Porto Hills, because as you're gonna see, we take 20 minutes to get in this mine from here to the Fojo das Pombas. So then, just a quick remember about the Roman works in Europe. So this is focused on the gold mining. So what you're gonna see tomorrow, it's a gold mine. And of course, we have the very known Rosia Montana in actual Romania. And then we have the northwest of Iberian Peninsula, that is the main, what we consider the main area of mining, gold mining. I'm talking about gold mining. Even that there's in small work in Delacote in Wales, and of course in Limousin in France, that is known, and also La Bessa in Italy. But this is the main area for sure. And if we talk about different Roman mining, not only gold, but silver, copper in the south, the Pyrite Belt, we have a lot of gold mining concentrated on this area of Northwest. And we can show the most known ones. So in Asturias, they have the main ones in terms of let's say, more difficult mining, but the most interesting ones, I saw some presentations about Las Médulas, that is impressive, the amount of work. But not less impressive is what we're gonna see tomorrow, just a little bit. That is this area that is coming from the northern of Porto, called the Lagoa Negra, that it's close to the sea, to the inner mountains, inlands, that is Arouca Geopark, that is a gold mine called Janard. So a little bit about geology. What we have as the main structure on this area, it's an anticline. So an anticline, it's a fold. You see here the fold in the green colors, and the fold is mainly in quartzite rocks. So a very hard rock that just in the contact of this green hard rock that is quartzite, just in the border with the schists, there are the main gold mineralizations. And because of that, you have this geomorphological map that show the different hills. So the hills of Porto are made of quartzites, and in the contact between the quartzites and the schists, there are the main gold mineralizations. So just to have a quick, what we see is that the 2 rivers, the Ferreira and Sousa River, they did they take advantage from this let's say, fragile area of the nose of the fold, of the anticline, and entered. So the hills that you see in the area, they are quartzites, and the gold mineralization, it's in, so the anticline is like that, but we have small anticlines. And even tomorrow, when we're gonna visit the edit called the G1, we're gonna see the layers of quartzites in one direction, and in the end of our visit, they will be in the other way. So we will cross one of these folds from one side to the other, but it's a small one. And even that in this area you have flat layers with gold, the ones that we're gonna see on Valongo are the vertical ones, the vertical. But they are not vertical veins. As I will show you quickly, they are just small veinlets that are in shearing areas. So these that you see here are shearing areas. So in this underground work that I did with the help of a speleology group Alto Relevo, we are looking to the Roman works underground, very deep, not the visit of tomorrow, where you can see the veinlets that has the gold. Well, another thing that if we want to be caution about the works that we're gonna visit, most of them are Roman, but we know that there was works at least documented since the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century. For instance, in the end of 18th century, this map already were planning more edits, but saying that there was a lot of Roman works before. We do also some work about what is called the alluvial gold. So we're gonna visit only the underground work, but there's a very interesting alluvial and alluvial gold that we are able to find in panning on these areas. So the most interesting for me from the scientific point of view is how the Romans were able to mine so fine gold. You see the scale here? It's 20 micras. So in hard rock, the maximum particle that you are able to find is between 20 and 50 micras. So they were able to mill this rock, this ore, fine enough to liberate this gold and you know, send it to the capital in Rome. And well, this is the vertical structures. You will see it tomorrow. Between the vertical works that they extract the shearing alignments with veinlets of quartz and gold, they have a lot of vertical shafts. So one of the shafts of tomorrow visit, we will see it's like this one, 20 meters. We're gonna use the edits, of course, not using the speleology way of works. So this is the end, the view from inside the Fojo das Pombas, and look to this interesting detail that I will explain. Why they had this fail on the mining? And it was not mining, it was the edits that the galleries that they need to construct to get access to the ore. This is not exactly a fail. You're gonna have the explanation later. So we're gonna enter, one of the places is stairways. It's able to be visited, but you see there's always, even that we are in a very dry situation, it's really difficult to understand. There's no rain at all in this area for a long time. There's always a little bit of water. So the question tomorrow is, you decide if you want to use the, now I don't remember the name, the boots, the rubber boots or not. It's up to you, but you're gonna see, it's not like this at this moment. Fortunately for you, So you gonna have this kind of situation. So it's up to you if you want. The problems of the rubber boots, it's that you can sleep with the slippery more easily than with your own boots. But anyway, if we do with cautious, that's okay. And what you see here, it's so G1 that I will show later. It's what is called a drainage gallery. So it was done to drain the water from the works. So it's very narrow. We're gonna walk one by one, but it's very beautiful because it's quite amazing in terms of geology to see. So other things that we will be able to see tomorrow is, this is a plan from Alto do Relevo they did. So what if we are able to arrive to this open area, we will pass through what is called the results of putting fire to mine. So what the Romans did for a long time, it's use the fire from woods, from timber, to, you know, putting in fire most of the night, I'm sure. And then when the fire come down, they entered, and this is very easy to identify because there's the round faces that you're gonna see, and you can even touch very well that it was completely without, let's say, stries. It's polished. Anyway, these are some of the things, and then we have the lucky of very good maps from the 18th and 19th century. So we're gonna see Fojo das Bombas, but look to all the area. It's full of old works. We could spend the week enter and going out of the different. Believe me, I already did a lot of this, and I'm still need to spend many weeks to visit all them. So some of them are really deep, 100 meters, and but it's only for available for speleology. This one, it's very close to us, but it will be not possible because it takes more time. So what we see here now, it's they use timber. You're gonna see this. A lot of places where the timber was maybe in this one it's more easy to see. So they have different levels of mining. So as you maybe are aware, the Romans mined from the downing part to the top, not going from the top to down. They go to the hills, they do edits from the ground, and then started to work from the down to the top. They have, of course, shafts to do exploration, but after the shafts being done for exploration, they knew where was the ore, and they used edits to get the total deposit. And of course, this is just to show that this is the Douro River that passes later in Porto, but it's everywhere, the mining works. So it's why we consider that this area here in the Porto Park is the most extension underground gold mining. We are talking about already measured almost 30 kilometers of edits. And we are talking about an area of 60 square kilometers. So it's a lot of information that we try to do it. So again, look, they fail again with the edit. In other area, they have this drainage. So why they did that? Because the survey could be very good, but they work like this. They have different teams working in different shafts, going in direction one to the others, but they could fail for some centimeters. And it was not bad because the survey was already very good in Roman times, but it's why you sometimes found these situations of not very, they don't match very well the edits. And the other thing, it's very close to Fojo das Pombas, but it's we could walk to get there. Look, to the shafts, you have these stairs where they can climb in the shafts very easily with the hands and the foot. So they don't even use the timber to get to the top if they wanted. So there's a lot of different ones. This is only to show you very quickly that we're gonna visit one of the most important ones where you have the areas where they put the lamps, the oil lamps to, it was found, some of them in the 19th century in the place, but of course they were not, they were collected before. And just a very quick thing, is not in Foz das Pombas, but you can find it in Foz das Pombas also. It's what we call a first mill, that it's to break the rock in grains of the, let's say, corn size. And then when you have the corn size, you have the other mills that in some cases we found them almost completely safe. So coming back again to the visit of tomorrow, because I'm running out of time. So we're gonna have, as you see, it's called the Complexo Fojo das Pombas, because it's very complex. You can see here very intricate ways of shafts and edits. The ones that we're gonna visit, they are Roman style. And just the final thing is about the numbers, that there was, of course, exploration works to see if there was gold still in the area, and the numbers are not so good. So you see here, so only in red, just some vestiges of gold, and the maximum that you are able to find, it's 4 grams per ton. So these make you think that the gold must be more valuable at that time than at the moment, because what they led, it was very low grade ore. And the final thing is that we are working still at the moment in the Eramin project that works with I forget to say that these kind of mineralizations are gold arsenic and gold antimony. So the ones that we're gonna visit tomorrow, they are gold arsenic, but we are supported by this one. Just a quick thing about if you go to the bibliography, you're gonna find this very known, let's say, mineralogist called Bonifácio Andrade e Silva. So when he was working here during the French invasions, he did a lot of work on this area, and I found these remarkable notes that he takes from this area that we're gonna visit tomorrow in 1805. Fortunately, during the invasions, they send all the books to Rio de Janeiro. So I get this information in Rio de Janeiro. You can see it here in the Biblioteca Nacional in Rio de Janeiro. They have all these descriptions of the works that they did in Fojo das Pombas. And so there's a lot of information to be worked about this area. And of course, my acknowledgements to many people that work on these projects. Tomorrow you're gonna meet Cristina Madureira from the Valongo municipality. And of course, this is really important to say, all this work is supported by Alto Relevo Speleology Group, that they guarantee all the security of our visits, the scientists and the researchers, and your visit of tomorrow. Some of the visits are really difficult to do. The Gallery E, it's difficult. The other one, it's in horizontal. So maybe we should ask people if they want to do the hard visit or the more easy visit. They can do it both also. Imagine we can do 1 hour in one, and then we change. But 25 at the same time in the same edit, it's not the ideal thing.
Who wants the art visit?
Sim, a minha pasta.
The hard one. So the difficult one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for the hard visit, for the difficult one.
I don't know if you found the marker.
Can maybe. So for the easy visit. So it's the best, I would say. Okay.
So 10 in one and the other one with 15. Okay, sounds good. Okay, just a quick thing for tomorrow. So our park will be on this building. The bus just stopped here. So we're gonna walk from this park maybe 300 meters to the Fojo das Pombas. And you are able to see in this one that it's a very open cast, open pit. And then there are the galleries. We're gonna use the stairways in one visit. And the other gallery is just here. So it's just 100 meters, one group from the other, and then we can change. So this is the easy one. Very interesting from the geological point of view. And this one is the one with the stairways more difficult. And because we have the vegetation, we did a flight with the LiDAR drone, and I want to show you that what we see here is the same area. So I told you that we're gonna do this walk to the area, and one of the galleries that we're gonna see. Okay, they are just there. So we're gonna enter. In some cases, we're gonna enter on this one, this is the G1, and we're gonna see the shafts that I showed you. And some of you will use the more easy stairways to the Fojo das Pombas open cast, open pit, and the underground works. And the more radical ones, you'll use this one. I forget to say, if you want to go to the Galeria E, is to use the other stairways here. So this is only to help to understand that now we will complete, even we can cross the information that I saw this afternoon, and we can now complete this with the information from MineHeritage. So there's a lot of potential to make this information available for many people, understand how much important it was the gold mining in this area. But most important of all is to make understand the people how important is raw materials. They were important in the Roman times and in actual times. And many people think that mining is like eternal. There will be no future, it was curious, one comment of one of the archaeologists that were with someone from Sweden, maybe, or from Finland. And he was saying, not touch the... But it's exactly what the society says. Please recover everything that you do in mining. So we need to explain that in Roman times, this was like a mess. There was workers everywhere. There was no timber because they cut all the timber to make the fires. There was a completely... And after 2,000 years, there's almost difficulty in understand how these raw materials were used, make the society work during centuries, and now is recovered by nature. So it's all for now. Tomorrow I will continue. And again, I appreciate this invitation, and well, see you tomorrow. Thanks.
And so, for today, we have finished now. I think the meeting went very well. I think I have to especially thank Anna, who was our very kind host in organizing everything from everything. So she did everything, you see, contacts, the bookings, the arranging the colleagues to show the mines, bus, everything. So thanks a lot. And so we meet tomorrow, and today we still have the dinner. I expect that we meet at the restaurant. Is that correct? At 8 o'clock, we are at the restaurant. We go by our own means, okay? Anna, thanks a lot.